Welcome. You're listening to Mystic Moon Cafe Radio.
Some of the buildings. Although one of the buildings, let's just say I felt safer when I was out of the building and not 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 paranormal wise.
Oh, stop. Let's
I was
bring
not
this
ready
back.
to.
Okay,
I was
I
going to
gotta
create a skylight on one of their floors.
So, like, Eureka, Nevada has 24 people in it.
Yes.
So, if you're not feeling safe, like, what
Structurally.
happens in a town that's like 200 miles from anywhere in the Great Basin of Nevada that you
I
would
don't
be
even know
so
if there
afraid?
was a
Meth heads?
hospital.
What?
We're talking structurally.
Structurally. Oh.
Yes.
Oh, like the ceiling's going to fall on you.
Yes. It was
Okay.
one of those things when all these people started walking up the stairs, because they were giving a tour of the place. You could kind of feel it bow. Like,
Oh, Lord.
Oh,
Hot damn, I
crap.
should have gone to this.
Yes. And then I was like, yeah, I'm going to stay downstairs. And then, Ross almost fell through the floor because he felt the boards kind of creak and everything. He's like, I'm going to stay downstairs.
What building? Okay, because Eureka, so correct me if I'm wrong, is the Washoe Club there?
No. That was Virginia City.
That's Virginia City. Okay,
Yeah,
so
this
I
is
know Eureka's known for its
Nevada.
Paracon, but what
Not really
building?
known. It was the old cafe, an old cafe. It's a cool little
Oh, I
town. They
know
have a
what
cool
you're
little
talking about.
opera
Yeah.
house. They have a lot of really, really cool things there. It's amazing. Kind of a Wild West town. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But, it was a little kind of creepy that way where, you thought you were going to fall through the floor. It's like, yeah. But it was a really nice little Paracon. Got to see some people I hadn't seen in a while. And then we drove to Virginia City. And that's when we were at the Washoe Club. I was calling it Washoe Club, but I was corrected. It is Washoe Club, just for your knowledge. Yes.
Okay.
Just for your knowledge. And Ryan Mick got to set us up. We are now members of the Washoe Club.
Nice.
So now we can go back and investigate anytime. Woo-hoo. And so we were going there. But we had a great investigation there. It was really awesome. We were the only ones in the building.
Nice. Okay.
It was cool.
So for the listeners that aren't familiar, Virginia City is outside of Reno, Nevada. So it's way far north of Las Vegas. Yep. And with the Washoe Club,
yes,
that is one of the places that Ghost Adventures got famous for investigating. Virginia City. That was the pilot for Ghost Adventures, kicked it all off.
One of their
and
first
so
places. Yep.
Yeah, and so with Ryan Mick, if you're not familiar, he is on the board for the Preston Castle in Ione, California, as well.
It's all tied together.
It's all tied together. So we're talking gold country back in the day, like 1850s, 1860s. So this is some historic stuff. Yeah.
It's a cool town, and they have wild horses running around everywhere.
No
way.
Yes,
wild horses just like coming up to people, not killing them or anything, but they would just walk through the town. It was amazing just to see these horses just walking down the street like they own the place. It was amazing.
That is amazing. So I got to ask because, I'm drunk and stuff like that. Let's talk about horse apples on the streets. Are you dodging some IEDs here?
There's
or what's going on?
Lots of them everywhere.
Okay.
And in the graveyard too. There were just like horse piles everywhere in the graveyard. It was just amazing. It was so cool though. Oh my God, I loved it. And like I said, the Washoe Club, it was, well, I think, what is it, like 20 degrees there? It was a little chilly.
Oh, yeah.
A little chilly.
Okay. So for our listeners who aren't familiar with the,
paranormal.
West of the Rocky Mountains and stuff, so this is high desert, which means, super hot in the summer, but cold in the winter, and they get snow.
It was snowing. Yep. It was snowing. So it wasn't just the ghosts that made everything cold. It was just freaking cold there. And But yeah, it was incredible. We had a great investigation there. Like we really got cold, let's just say. They have a really cool museum there with lots of haunted objects. Of course, sadly, you have to. I mean, I probably shouldn't say sadly. You have to look at pictures of Zach Bagans from Ghost Adventures all over the place.
Boo.
Oh, okay. But let's be real.
Okay, I'm real.
Be real
Zach
what?
works out. Zach is okay to look at.
Yeah, Zach is okay to look at. If he takes
I'm
his
just
shirt
saying,
off,
though
it's
he had
fine.
a recent nose job. He did have a recent nose. Zach's okay to look at.
But
I'm not hating on
but-
looking at Zach.
I just, it's okay to look at, but then when, you really kind of see what's behind that personality a little, maybe, I don't know.
Well,
It
okay, so
ruins
let me
it
just
for me.
let me just give you some full disclosure because we get to our two awesome guests, Katie and Kim.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say I did order the Zach Bagans Ghost Hunting for Dummies. It arrives this Sunday. I have 2 copies. I might be gifting. Like I talk about the shows and I do talk some shit about the shows. Let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
Just wait and let Daddy have some drink here.
We should do all these shows.
In the bag.
Jake drunk.
It's the holidays, people. Give me wait for the New Year's one.
This reminds me of a Christmas horror story when William Shatner was drinking as he was doing this.
Exactly. And William Shatner ties in probably to one of the movies that's going to be high on our list of holiday horror movies. I'm just plugging people listening for this one. But when it comes to the shows, let's be real. If you want to be entertained by ghostly activity, Ghost Adventures is right up there because they will make sure you see some ghostly activity.
It is
Kim, groan all you want. However,
that was a good groan, Ken.
Thank you.
Ghost Adventures will deliver the ghostly phenomena.
But you
And
know
if
what
you're
it won't
watching
deliver?
TV and you're not a real
Deliver
ghost hunter, like you're not in the
Fake.
field, this is
Fake.
going to be some amazing shit. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay.
But a lack of evidence.
Well, they do play evidence. It's dubious evidence.
Okay.
Oh,
But they
Dubious.
do play it. They put that shit on loop 3 times. We might have to throw an explicit on this one because I'm going to drop some S-bombs and
Oh,
F-bombs and all that stuff
okay.
coming up here.
Sure.
But
As long as you start it and not me.
good point. But let's get on. We have to get on with our guests and stuff. So
Okay.
Wendy, let's hear about Katie and her books first before we get into our holiday countdown, because I want everyone to hear about this stuff because it is good stuff.
Very good stuff.
Well, does it sound as bad in the microphone as
No.
it does in my own ears?
Oh, you
No,
sound
actually, you sound
really
good.
good now.
Really good.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
echoing back in my head.
Much
Oh,
better.
no, you're
Yeah,
good.
much
You're
better.
good.
No,
I feel like I'm in the
sounds
bottom
great.
of the bathroom stall. Anyway, tonight I invited Katie Rhodes to join us. She is a fantasy horror Vincent Price aficionado.
Where's that coming from? Vincent, is that you?
Giggle once for yes and twice for no. No, somebody was stopped
That's
down in
the shotgun
Northtown in a car just like mine, and people are reporting to me. So, but anyway, we have Katie Rhodes. She writes the Peri Jean Mace ghost thrillers. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, and she also loves horror movies, and I just thought I'm gonna bring my friend on. She can talk about her books, kind of pimp them out, and give her 2 cents
all
worth
about the
in
pimp.
on. That's right, we know that. But so there we go. Come on, Katie.
Okay.
Hi, Katie. Welcome.
Hi, Katie.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thank y'all for having me. I'm enjoying so much listening to y'all talk about real life ghost hunting. I'm thinking about on my new series having a scene where there are ghost hunters, and now I know some people who I can bother
Oh,
to tell me how to
definitely.
make it look
Anytime.
real. or
For
sound
sure.
real, I guess.
Anytime.
Just wait.
Anytime.
So let's just put it like if you got Kim, June, and me, like
Yes.
it's gonna be such legit ghost hunting. It's gonna be kind of boring. But if you want me to know how, contact me about how to like hyperbolize that, we can, for the book.
Well, are we still adding the explicit
Go
label
right
to this?
ahead. Go right
Well,
ahead.
yeah, you could do explicit,
It's the
but let's be
holidays.
real. I mean, let's think about
Well,
the author.
earlier you were saying something about bullshitty evidence. So I want you to help me make something look really bullshitty, but really
Oh, that
scary
sounds
and
good.
good too.
Oh, that is not a problem.
Jake will have fun
You,
with that.
you are
I
going to
can
channel Zach
So much fun
Baggins.
with that.
Yeah.
Tell us about the books, the stories,
Okay.
Yeah.
the themes, the adventure, all that good stuff.
Okay, well, the Peri Jean Mace books are about this woman who can see ghosts and she hates it. It got her sent to a mental institution as a child. It made her an outcast in school. She was bullied, got in fights every day. And now she's an adult. She's a 30-year-old woman, and her cousin gets brutally, brutally killed. And the ghost of the cousin comes to Peri Jean and says, I want you to get the person who did this.
Ooh, that sounds good.
That is good.
And that's what the first book is about. And they, as I wrote the books, I realized that Peri Jean was really the story. So it goes through her acceptance of what she is and her discovery of that she is more than she ever thought she was, and learning to love who she is.
Oh, that sounds
And
great.
the theme is, or one of the themes is how life is really gray, that you do what it takes to survive. And sometimes it's not necessarily what somebody in a white hat would do, it's what you do to make it. And the other big theme that I explored is the way that you just make the most out of every minute. And that even though you know that the bad stuff is right around the corner, you learn to make the most out of every minute. And we have ghosts. We have a lot of witchcraft. I like to research witchcraft. And so we have a lot of witchcraft stuff. And we have kind of like demons, but really what they are is more like gods who used to be worshipped, and they have power, and you can contact them and get in deep, deep trouble with them. There's one book that's about a actual book that will drive you crazy if you read it, and that's far deep into the series. Are there any questions you have that you would like me to answer?
Yeah, so just for our listeners out there, so with Catie Rhodes, you can get her books on Amazon. There's 11 in the series. And the one that really stands out to me is Crossroads, which I'm a huge fan about urban legends that have some truth behind them. So the teaser for that one is some urban legends hold a truth more horrifying than any story. Can you go into about it, like when you were writing this and coming up with the concepts, how urban legends relate to reality, how they're more fantastical? Because I'll say to the crew out there that's listening, like her books have a 4.7 out of 5 for the entire 11-book series. So this is some legit shit, and you should check it out. But I love urban legends. And can you tell me about that research process and how it came about, how you focused on the urban legend aspect of it and how it applies to reality? And that's Wally, and I'm going to excuse him.
He's asking about the urban legends too.
Okay. Well, on Crossroads, it was inspired by an urban legend called the Phantom Coach of East Texas. And the urban legend was that a young couple on their wedding night were taken away by this phantom coach and nobody ever saw them again. I mean, it goes farther than that. And that was where the idea came from. But as I worked on the series, the coach in the series was a ghost who had come back for revenge. And that's what it turns out to be in the series. But in terms of urban legends and how we assess them in real life, I think that when we talk about stuff like that, with every person who tells it, you get their spin on it. And each person's spin is their fears of what might or might not happen in a situation. And so my fear is definitely someone coming back to me for revenge more than someone taking me away on my wedding night. So that was the story that I told, was one about revenge.
Oh, wow.
And on, I don't know if it's a revenge thing, but so my favorite book of the series has been Dark Traveler, which is book 9, which deals with a monster that seems to be immune to magic.
Oh, she's based on. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh, no. So I was going to just ask about that. When you're talking about like monsters, a lot of people think about these fantastical creatures and stuff, but that's not always the case. But this is my favorite of your books, which, by the way, you can get on Amazon for $3.99 on Kindle. Download it.
Less than a cup of coffee.
Exactly. Yeah. From the Starbucks, it's less than a latte. An 8-ounce latte.
Worth the money.
Yeah, well worth the money. So this is my favorite of your books. So I don't know if you want to elaborate it on or what, but like this is my jam of the 11 books. It's number 9.
Do you want me to tell you where the monster came from?
Yeah. Why don't you give us the origins? It's like I'm always into getting the backstory.
Okay. Do you remember the movie Legend with Tom Cruise?
Oh, yes.
Do you remember the witch-looking thing in it with the gray skin?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember. That's the monster in Dark Traveler.
Wow.
That was my prototype. And
yeah.
and then the stuff that she did was loosely based on the legend of Baba Yaga, which is
from Slavic lore.
Slavic lore. I didn't do the chicken-legged house because I didn't want to get that deep into it. I didn't want to commit to this is exactly Baba Yaga. But the screeching and the different stuff that she did was based on legends I read about Baba Yaga.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so with Baba Yaga, though, I mean, that goes back throughout history about with kids getting lost in the wood, thinking that they're safe. And you always think an older lady is going to be the, grandmotherly figure, and that's not always the case. And Baba Yaga eats kids,
Well, do you remember the movie The Witch from a couple years ago?
2015 or 2016 or whatever that one?
That was really good.
That was amazing.
And the lady in the woods was not very nice,
Yeah.
She got the kid and made the flying ointment out of him.
Yeah. I don't know why we're laughing at that.
It was gross.
It was gross.
Hey, we're not shaming mothers out there or anything. It's just, sometimes kids are brats.
Sometimes? What's the sometimes you're speaking of?
Kim works with children.
I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to know about Dark Traveler? I'll tell you anything that I can think of. You might have to kind of push me.
Yeah, but I was like I said, I'm all into origins and stuff, but we also need people to download the book, read it, come to their own conclusions. Mm-hmm. So if there's anything else you can, because this one is my favorite. And just so you know, out of the 31 reviews on Amazon, all 31 gave it 5 stars. So, but using
all
for the
people
readers
who
out
hate
there,
the series have quit by then.
Did not.
So with this one though, it's just with the series. Do they need to read any of the previous books before they get to this one? Let's talk about that one, because this is a really good series. Like I said, 4.7 out of 5 on Amazon. Well worth a read. A wonderful universe that has been created around this one. But let's just talk about if if someone is new to the Peri Jean Mace stories, what is the order they should read it in to make sure that they have the proper background of the universe?
That's
And we all
If
know
you
it's going
want
to
to,
be the first one for
yeah,
sure.
you can, I would, if it were me reading them, you could read 1 through 5 and then 7 through 11, and you could read 6 last if you wanted to. 6 is the prequel, and it just goes back to when she's in high school and gives you a few insights into some of the relationships. But I've had a lot of readers tell me they save that to last.
So you're talking rear view is the one that
Yeah,
saved
rear
to the left.
view.
Okay.
Yeah, some, but you wouldn't have to. If you want to get the full universe and her, what would you call it? Her evolution as a character, you would pretty much have to read them in order. But I specifically wrote these books where you could pick up any one of them, and it has a story question specific to that book and an answer to that question by the end of the book.
Okay.
So if one of them looked more interesting, start with that.
Okay. Aces. So it's kind of like a choose your own adventure. You can jump in anywhere to take the ride with Peri.
And you might like, start with Dark Traveler, and you might say, well, who's this guy Wade Hill? Why is she so upset over all this? And that might mean you want to go back and read some of the others. But the story question, can Peri Jean get away from Miss Ugly, who is the monster of Dark Traveler? Can she get away from her? That's answered at the end of Dark Traveler.
Okay. Aces. And then just for everyone, growing up in the South, how does that color your perception of storytelling? Because I find folks from the South have amazing storytelling abilities.
Well, everybody here is a hell of a good liar.
Yep.
I come from a family of world champion liars, and I would say that I am probably the least of it. With me, you've probably got the most honest John of them all, and I'm a liar.
I will say, though, however, the most believable storytellers and urban legend tellers have a really good hook in reality and the truth. So
That's
the
true.
truth is amazing for sprouting out lies and coloring, the ambiance environment of the initial truth and then ratcheting it up. So
Letting the bullshit get deeper and deeper from
yeah,
there.
yeah. But I gotta say though, as long as you sprinkle some truth in there, I find so this is the big thing when we talk about fantastical stories. If it's anchored in the truth, and Kim, who's a true crime aficionado, Kim
That is
Douthit
true.
is our maven of horror movies, who will be joining us in a little bit as we get into our top 10 our horror holiday movies. If you anchor it in the truth, I just find it so much easier to absorb and go into these stories and the world building that happens because you have an anchor you can relate to.
I agree 100%. If you can find a place where people can say, yeah, I know what that feels like, or I know what that looks like, you can get them to believe just about anything. You can get them to believe in a monster that you can't kill and who'll never go away.
Yeah. And then one last question before we have to move over to our 10 stories is when it comes to, because this is kind of urban fantasy and horror type stuff, what other authors in the genre, it doesn't have to be even an author, it could be maybe a movie director or something like that. Who are your influences for this that you really learn to build such a crystal clear world around?
Charlaine Harris really influenced me. Her voice is fantastic.
I love her.
Yeah.
Kim Harrison, she wrote a series called The Hollows. It's about 12 books. Fantastic series. But my biggest influence, and it's not really urban fantasy because it was written kind of before urban fantasy, is Sunglasses After Dark by Nancy A. Collins.
Hmm.
Nancy
gonna have
A
to look
is the
this one up.
shit in my world.
Okay.
I love her. And these books are about a character named Sonia Blue. And I think she wrote 3 of them, maybe 4. But the first one is absolutely the best. And
Okay.
it's not quite like, it's not like Charlene Harris, is what I'm trying to say.
Mhm.
It's more like horror.
Okay. So because Charlene, for our listeners out there, she was the True Blood lady, right? Charlene?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. And Midnight Texas.
Yes.
Oh.
I loved
Yes.
Midnight Texas.
Okay,
Midnight
because
Texas was
I
great.
was big on the True Blood even before the TV series. I really liked it. Though, being a dude, I'm not all into the romance type thing. I like the action kind of. I'm a Clive
Don't
Barker,
let the
Stephen
bullshit's
King,
getting deeper and deeper.
Peter
He
Straub.
goes through Kleenex harder than we do.
Does he get witty about the
Oh,
romance?
But I am totally gonna get Nancy A. Collins because I did not know this. New Orleans. She's from Arkansas. Moved to New Orleans. I'm down.
You got to
Anything
try
that-
it.
Any author that comes out of New Orleans, I'm totally down with. Anne Rice, I know
And-
she's
and
got her detractors and stuff like that, but no.
Another book by Nancy A. that is set in New Orleans is called Tempter. It's not in
Okay.
the Sonia Blue series, but I love that book. It is one of my favorite books ever.
Okay, let me drop the link to that one in here into our chat so our readers can get to it.
Ooh.
And then Katie, just so everyone knows, where'd you grow up? What's your home state? All that stuff, because everyone likes the biographic stuff.
I grew up in Lufkin, Texas, which is in the Piney Woods region of East Texas. It's about 2 hours north of Houston. It's about 4
Oh.
hours south of Dallas. It's
Okay.
about 5 hours from Austin. It is in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
And I'm 46. So when I was growing up, there was no internet or anything like that. And it was isolated. And at the time when I thought that that was all the world was, it was pretty depressing because there was nothing here and not many people like me who liked horror and who were creative. But then when I got out, I realized I could write stuff and I could make up stories and people believed them.
Yeah. So this is one thing that I find is really interesting is because in the 80s and probably the early 90s, you had a preponderance of, say, New England writers and the horror stories that were linked, because, that was older than dirt for the United States and stuff. But now it
Right.
has really changed where Southern horror, I wouldn't call it Gothic horror because there's a difference between Southern Gothic horror and straight up modern.
If you ever want to do a show on Southern Gothic, I want to listen to it. I don't want to be on it because I'm not an expert, but I do want to hear what you have to say.
Oh, that would
Wendy.
be fun.
Just so you know, none of us are Southern. But
Do you want me to be?
fans.
Well, I
But-
don't know what you're talking about. In my Missouri accent. I
Yeah.
don't think there is one.
There's Ozarks. Do you consider the
Ozarks.
Ozarks part of the South, even if
No.
it's north of the Mason-Dixon line?
Not really.
Not really.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm out here in Washington State, so this isn't something we can relate to. We had what was Forks? Forks, Washington was
The
Twilight.
Sparkly
Twilight
Vampire
Zone.
Place.
Yeah, it was Twilight.
That's what I
Twilight
got.
Epic fail.
It's not well written.
It's actually better written than it was acted.
Well, it is what it is, and it brought a lot of joy to a lot of teenage girls and was kind of a
Sure
gateway to some
did.
vampire horror. So I try not to hate on Twilight because it served its purpose.
True.
And it's never a bad thing to start getting into vampires. It's a good gateway vampire drug.
I love it.
True.
A good
though
gateway
I
vampire.
prefer werewolves.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
It's werewolves are a big chunk of that. But Katie, thank you very much. I appreciate
You're
this
very
great-
welcome.
And
Yeah.
And
like
thank
I
you
said,
for hosting me.
I've already
not-
ordered all your books.
Yeah. like I said,
Thank you.
you
I
can
just
tell
can't
the
wait.
quality because consistently 4.7 out of 5 stars on Amazon. Let me tell you, Amazon
That's
has
a big
lots of
thing,
haters
yeah.
out there. Kindle, get it, $2.99 to $3.99.
And get
Amazing
the
series.
audio book too, if you're
Yep.
like me.
Yep. And I dropped a link in the chat to all of your books and your
Well,
author
thank you.
page on Amazon. So everyone, they're amazing reads. I already told you my favorites, but go read it. It's amazing story to read.
Awesome.
Thank
And
you.
please stick around to talk about our horror holiday movies
If you'd
want
like
those.
to, yes.
Well, I watch some horror movies, Christmas horror movies. If I get to talk about horror movies too, if y'all want me to.
Oh yeah, stick around.
You can
We're
take
doing
my
our top
spot.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, even though we're counting down 10 to 1 and stuff like that, just interject. If you've seen it, interject.
Mhm.
Great, thank you.
Okay. And this brings us over to the
segue.
fabulous, amazing horror maven, queen of City of Geek, Kim Douthit.
By Queen of City of
Kim.
Geek,
A
you mean the
native
only female
Seattle-
that's on City of Geek.
Well, we don't know about the other queens, but
Yeah,
That's
there's
true.
some queens on this broadcast. I'm just saying.
That's true.
But Kim,
Yes,
give us
yes.
some background. I know you love the true
Yeah.
crime. I know you're
do
one
love
of
the true crime.
hostesses with the mostesses of City of Geek. You are a horror movie maven. So
I am.
let the listeners know a little bit more about you.
I am a horror movie maven. I was formerly of the Horror Honeys. Used to write for their magazine Belladonna. I was the Supernatural Honey, so I specialized in the ghostly ones. I currently work for City of Geek, which is a pop culture, and we kind of all lean very horror website and blog. And I'm one of the co-hosts of Ghoulish Tendencies, which
very
is
nice.
it's a podcast that focuses on haunted history and historical history and true crime and all that fun, spooky stuff. But I've been watching horror movies since I was probably inappropriate for me to be watching them.
Yes.
Far too early.
That's perfectly fine.
but
We
you-
all have
but you-
cable TV.
Exactly.
And that's one thing too. It's like some people are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe," because I remember being 5 years old and
Yeah,
watching,
five.
Hammer horror movies with my dad and being really scared. Yes, all the Hammer horror movies and being really scared, watching Christopher Lee turn into Dracula. And I remember my dad saying, it's all play acting. It's
Yeah.
all play acting. Just always remember that. And the blood is not real blood. He was like describing everything. And actually, even though I was afraid to get out of my bed a few times because I just felt like claws were going to come out and grab me and pull me under, but look how well adjusted I turned out today.
So well adjusted.
Yeah.
So remember, just because you're a psychotic fuck doesn't mean you don't think you get normal as
there's
an
the
adult.
E for
Exactly.
explicit.
Exactly. That's a lot of
We're gonna
psychotic people.
let me slap the E on this one for explicit.
A
To
lot
get
of
a hard R, you have to drop the F-bomb more than once or something.
exactly.
Yeah, oh, they're
No,
coming. They're
a lot
coming.
of psychotic people, a lot of serial killers did not like horror movies. So,
That's
true.
Really?
so
Porn.
Yeah.
In fact, Bundy blamed it all on porn in the end.
yep.
So, getting on the subject of horror holiday, so and Kim, interject in here whenever you want, but generally speaking, we all think about Halloween as being the spooky story time of the year, but Christmas has some very, very dark stories around it.
Historically, the wintertime at Christmas was when you told ghost stories. Particularly in Victorian times, telling ghost stories was the thing you did at Christmas.
That's so fun.
Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love
So they go, well, and if you think about it, it makes sense. I mean, it's the time of the year when it's the darkest outside, and we really do have to gather around the fire. We're kept
Fire.
indoors. We're isolated. The weather and the cold and the dark, it isolates you more. It's only natural to see shadows and monsters and things in the dark.
I love that. Yes.
Yeah.
I know. I love it. And the other thing, because it's the end of the year, this is the time to repent.
Oh, that's true.
Is it
Yeah.
really? Do we really have to?
No, no.
Not re- I don't,
Grandma always
Okay.
said
but-
you don't have to.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you,
You bet.
Wendy. Just checking.
Yep.
Yeah. So with that said, since we're at the holiday horror season, let's be real. So for our countdown, and it doesn't have to be a count. I did a 10 through 1 with one honorable mention.
Yeah, I have a few honorable mentions on top of my 10.
Yeah, so I've got,
One
'cause
dishonorable
there's,
mention.
there's a lot. I will say, as time has gone by, holiday horror has really kicked up. Like the period of 2010 to like last this
Last
is the
decade.
golden age of holiday horror movies. I would
Although
say.
we had the 80s went through a whole stretch of mostly
Yeah, that's true.
slasher style.
Yeah,
of course,
slasher
the
style,
slashers, yeah.
style. But
So
I would say the
Jam, then that wasn't a great time for it.
Mhm.
But
yeah. So I would say if we look at the period like the 70s, for sure the 80s. 80s was the glory age of the slasher film.
Yeah.
And then from about 2010 on, what do we call the 20 teens? Do we go with 20 teens for that?
yeah,
We'll go with that. We'll go with that. I find the 20 teens to be more of a golden age for holiday horror, like a
Definitely.
golden age for sure.
'Cause in fact,
But-
the ones on my list are from the last 10 years.
yeah, I've got.
I have a mix.
If I look at the bulk of my list, yes, it's from 2010 on, but I do have some. Ooh, look at that glorious red wine that Kim is chugging. Where it's for the people that are listening, we're doing a video that will go up on YouTube and stuff like that. But
Oh dear.
But let's kick off with our honorable mentions. And just so you know, some of the movies on my list, at least my list, I've got 2. Maybe 3. I wouldn't call them traditional Christmas horror or holiday horror. And holiday is what I'm defining as like Thanksgiving through New Year's. Some
Yeah.
of the honorable mentions and stuff that I have. Actually, now that I think about it, I got 2 honorable mentions. They're just winter horror movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
good.
I have
So-
3.
So let's kick this off with our honorable mentions if we have any. Like I said, I got 2.
Mhm.
Let's kick off with our horror maven, Kim. Let's talk
I-
about your honorable mentions before we get into our like countdown type event.
So I have 3 honorable mentions.
Mhm.
One of them is a movie I just watched actually for 100 Days of Horror this year, the 100 horror films I've never seen in the 100 days leading up to Halloween. And it was a movie from 2018 called Await Further Instructions.
Oh, I don't know this one.
I don't think I know this
don't either.
either. Oh my
It's-
gosh.
It's really interesting, and ultimately I found the ending personally a little disappointing, but the concept is really cool, and it has some really awesome moments in it. It's not perfect, but it is, especially if you're a horror or a sci-fi fan, it is very much worth a watch. And it's streaming. I'm pretty sure I watched on like Netflix. Now one of my other honorable mentions is a little bit of a weird pick, but it takes place during the holidays, and the director himself said he considers it a Christmas movie, and that is The Conjuring 2.
What? Oh,
place.
well,
Well, yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
The time of the year. I get
The
it.
time
I get
either.
it.
And
Yeah.
James Wan has said he considers it a Christmas film, and so I have to throw it out there because I do think it is worth a watch. And then the other one is one again. It's the full thing is not Christmas, but part of the anthology is, and that's the movie Dead of Night from 1945.
I
Oh,
do like
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
movie.
That,
It has a section that's Christmas in
yeah,
it.
and I totally understand that, and I do love my classic horror, and this would totally qualify as classic horror. It's just that's like my grandparents' movie, so I don't really relate to it so much.
I love the movie as a
classic.
whole,
Yeah.
and the Christmas section I very much enjoy, but it's not a full Christmas movies, so I had a hard time kind of justifying it as a part of my top 10. But I do want to throw it out there for people who may not be familiar with it. It's worth a watch.
Yeah, and so on that regard, with my honorable mentions, before we get into it, there's a couple that I was kind of close on. So the first one of those, which, well, I'll just throw them out there. I've got like two tied for position 13, and that would be P2 and ATM.
Oh, I fucking
That's
hate
true.
ATM.
Oh,
That's
you
my
hate
that's my
ATM?
dis. Oh, I remember because I had to write a review of it, and my review was, "This is 2 hours of my life I'll never get back," and I resent it so badly.
Yeah, so I
It's
mean,
not
at the
one of
end
my
of the
favorites
reason why
either.
they're together is they're kind of the same movie.
They're basically the same movie. Although I liked
Yeah.
P2 a little more than I liked ATM.
Yeah, I would say from a tension aspect of it.
I
So
loved
P2
ATM.
it deals with corporate holiday party.
Mhm.
She gets trapped in the parking thing with the psycho. In the case of ATM, people go to an ATM, get locked in and tortured, blah, 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 blah.
They're dumb and
Um,
they're unlikable. You hate all of them.
That's
I
true.
wanted all of them to die.
That is
I was
true. I
like,
did
have
not
you
feel sad.
died yet? Please get on with it.
I would say that's more the ATM
Yeah,
than
that's
the
true.
That's what
P2.
ATM.
ATM,
To
I really
me,
loved.
So with P2, I would say that one was like Red Eye in a parking garage instead of on a plane.
Yeah, and I like Red Eye. Yeah.
I did
I'll
like
give you
Red
that.
Eye. Yeah. But my other ones, and this one is not explicitly called. So let's just talk about winter horror real quick, because there's a couple of movies I would throw in here. Like, I didn't put The Thing on my list because it takes place in Antarctica and it's always cold and wintry there.
That's true. It's
So
always
They're not
it-
real
there.
specific on time of year.
Yeah. If you were specific on time of year, if you're doing winter because it's Antarctica, which is winter 9 months out of the year, right? Let's be honest, right? Like no shit gets better than The Thing. Let's be real. Like if we were just going to
Love The
go
Thing.
with a winter background, The Thing is going to win hands down every single time. Okay. But the other one is one you don't always hear about, and it's Ghost Story from 1981. It's a Peter Straub
One of my
book.
favorites
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so what it is it takes place in New England. It's like 30 some years. Anyway, you get like 5 old guys, and what they did is they were having relations with this one young lady back in the day, and they think she's dead, so they push the car into the lake. She wakes up. Of course, there's vengeance, and the ghost starts taking out not only the old dudes, but their oldest male children. So it's kind of like, if you remember from the 90s with Michelle Pfeiffer and Harrison Ford, What Lurks Beneath.
Yes.
That was
This-
very movie.
This is like a good 10, 15 years before that.
Mhm.
And so I really like Ghost Story. If you can see it, it is a classic haunting story. It takes place in the winter. It's not specific to Christmas.
Well, you
And
know,
my
that's
other-
like. Oh, go ahead. So go ahead.
I was going to say, I was getting to my last honorable mention, but go ahead, June.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. And so my last one, and it's not really a horror movie, though it's Tim Burton. It's A Nightmare Before Christmas. And it's not
That's
really
a horror
like, if we're gonna
movie.
do holiday.
It's
yeah,
family
you're right.
horror. It's family
It's
horror.
family horror.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
still horror.
Yeah. So before we get into the top 10, because you're going to see a lot on my list, I'm just going to say there's a difference between Halloween horror, and we'll take Halloween horror as being about Labor Day through actual Halloween, where it is deathly serious horror. This is, I want to scare you. There's going to be gore. And then you have holiday horror, which is brighter and lighter and more fun in a bloody way.
Oh, Home Alone.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that one. That one's and Kim probably knows what I'm talking about. That one's on the Home Alone. Home Alone one is in my top 5. Is it in my top 5? Just wait. No, it's just outside my top 5. It's at number 6. But we'll get into that one. And now I will not yield to everyone else as I flap my gun so much with Katie and with my honorable mentions. But I'm ready for my top 10. Let's just June, Wendy.
Yes.
What do you have for an intro into our horror list?
Well.
I'm letting you all have it because horror isn't actually my genre to watch.
Okay,
that
and
much.
Katie, interject, and when we get into this, interject if you've
I
seen
sure
other
will.
stuff.
Mhm.
Well, why don't we have Kim kind of go through her list, and I can throw in, and Jacob and I can both kind of throw in ones that aren't on her list, because I think probably a lot of mine are probably going to be on Kim's too, because we have a lot of the same tastes.
We do.
I have seen, but well, if we're going to throw in a little winter, the snowy, that's not really Christmas, but winter cold movies. One of my favorite, which I think happens in Norway, is it? Or I can't
Are
remember,
you
but
talking Cold
Let
Prey?
the right one.
no, I was
in.
talking about, well, Let the Right One In is one of my favorites
Oh yeah,
too,
from
because it's
Sweden.
cold.
That's a vampire flick. Yeah.
It's one of my favorites because it's one of those subtle horror movies that I
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
love so
Yeah.
much.
Sure.
You really don't think it's scary, but then it's like these little touches here and there. It's like, woo!
Uh-huh.
Oh,
But,
it's beautifully shot.
Yeah,
Yes,
really good.
yes, it is.
And the other thing that I will say is because the Americans copied it, because we had the let
yeah,
the
we
right
had-
one in,
They
and
have to
then we had
copy
like what the
everything.
U.S. was let me in or
Let me
something
in.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let me
They
in.
were both really good. I mean, the nod
Yeah,
goes to the
yeah.
Swedish film, but they were
The
both
Swedish.
really good.
I thought the original got the kind of the isolation a
Mhm.
lot better.
Yeah.
But
And
but Let Me In was
little
solid, yeah.
Oscar.
Yeah.
Little Oscar was, the creepy, poor little creepy kid. But
Sorry, guys, I threw
So
that in there.
before-
I did have one.
yes, you did. Yes,
Go
you
go
did.
go.
No, she was talking about Let the Right One In.
Oh yeah. So
well, the
let's
other
if
one
we're gonna
though
go.
too is Dead Snow.
Oh,
yeah.
zombie,
One of
Nazi
my
zombies and
favorites.
Jugendheim. Oh, for
I
sure.
love it because it's got humor in there. It's got a little, it's got a little scariness, and it's like, and I love the beginning scene with the music and she's being chased through the forest at night in the snow.
Yes.
I love that scene.
Yes.
Oh my god. So I guess as we get into this, we have to pull out our favorite kills. But the thing is, when you start talking about zombie movies, like everything's gonna be shoot 'em up, pew 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 pew. It's like action. Like holiday
lot.
zombie movies are gonna be action based. But I
Oh yeah, yeah.
love Dead Snow.
Yes, me too. So with that though, little winter movies. Well, let's let Kim start, and then maybe we can kind of interject things. And when she's done, Jacob, maybe you and I, can both and Katie talk about ones that aren't in there. But I have a feeling everything's probably going to be in there that I like.
Well, to be fair, I tried to throw in, because when it comes to ranking movies like this, a lot of it depends on my mood.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I left off a number of slashers I very much enjoy, because I wanted to get a couple in that people maybe hadn't heard of as well.
Okay. Yeah.
So my number 10 is a movie called Dead End.
Oh, I love that
for
movie so
sure.
much.
Oh, I watched this one.
2003
That
Dead
reminds me
End.
of a book
Yeah.
called Dead End. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got the lady from was it Insidious in it?
Yes.
Bruce Day and Ray Weiss are both
of
in
them.
it.
They are
And
awesome.
it's just it's fun and it's funny, and you've got some great actors in it, and just again a really enjoyable little film, and something a little different. Again, I there's so many 80s slashers from this time that I love, but this is a kind of nice way to mix it up.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah, so
going
if we're
to
gonna, I gotta
Christmas-
bring up my list of
Christmas dinner.
because if we do Christmas slashers, because at the end of the day, if we're talking about a Santa slasher,
Oh
you're gonna
yeah.
have a lot of carbon copy.
And it's
movies.
part of what I was trying very hard to kind of. I mean, you could do 6 just on the Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they had 5 movies.
Yeah.
So
So
I
there's
don't
6
count the 2012. I don't count 2012 as part of it because it's just loosely based. But
It's a reboot, but yeah.
yeah.
My number 9 is a movie called The Children.
Yes, I love that one too because it is so creepy.
Good
It's-
one.
Anytime you're dealing with
I
children,
know.
it's automatically get creepy.
It's
but
really
it's-
good.
It's a really unique take, I think, on the kind of zombie film, because you're a different kind of zombie, and it is
Yeah.
and only people under a certain age, which is a
Right.
Yeah.
really interesting idea. And it's one, though, I'd say if you're somebody who struggles at all with watching violent things happen to children,
Might not want to watch it.
this is not what you do.
Yeah. So
And
guys,
the
I
audacity
gotta
of
run away. Talk amongst yourselves. Daddy's got to refill, and Daddy has some chores to do. So I'm gonna put this on you. You keep talking, but I'll be back for the children because that just missed my list. Okay, just one second.
it's something that may not be on everyone's radar. So if it's not, it is very much
Yeah.
worth a watch.
It's very
but
creepy. Very good.
my number 8 is a classic, Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Oh, yes, yes.
Uh,
Couldn't have a Christmas without that one.
Never
No
Christmas.
way.
And again, it's such a quintessential slasher, but it's fun. I also love that it pissed people off when it first came out, that there was controversy about it and people were like actively boycotting the movie.
Which gave it even more publicity to people that had to watch it and say, what's the big deal? Let me watch it. And then, I mean, that's the best thing, I think, for a lot of horror movies, when people come out and boycott it, like the million moms come out, a million Christian moms come out and boycott a movie, everybody's going to flock to it to say, what makes this so horrible? Let me watch it. And it's like, aha!
What better way to get teenage? Well, and it's funny. There's a really great documentary called "Going to Pieces: The Rise and Fall of the Slasher Film," and it kind of traces the slashers from its early roots through the 80s and into the 90s, and they talk specifically about a couple of these films actually that we're going to be talking about, and the big objection parents had to, you can't show Santa Claus in this way because it's going to confuse the children. And I'm like, I mean, if you have a problem with something like that, don't let your kid watch it then. Like, don't take your child to this movie. Like, there's a very simple solution to that.
We've gone from red to white.
Okay, so I'm back. What I miss?
You missed Silent Night, Deadly Night.
What? 1, 2.
2 is
One.
later.
Oh,
Two
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's on my list. My number 7 is a movie called Sleigh Bells.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I love sleigh
yeah.
bells.
I got to review an early copy of it last year, and
a lot of people don't count a lot of movies that are more like, I always call them college made, or just what are they called? I mean,
Student film.
Yeah, kind of student film, kind of type.
it's very indie. It's low budget and it's very indie, but I mean, it's got freaking Boswick in it. Like,
Fun.
Yeah,
It's so fun.
If we step back to like the children, because I had to step out, of course, because Daddy had to pee and get more wine. With
Thank
the
you for not taking
children,
us.
I appreciated the children concept, and I would say don't confuse it with Village of the Damned,
No.
because a
Definitely
lot
not.
of people will make that comparison because
Yeah.
there's an event, children go killer, blah 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 blah.
very different type of child killer, though.
Correct.
Yeah.
Very true. But in the case which I found with the children, which was one of those, it's that one weekend a year where they play all the independent horror movies. It was one of those movies. I forgot the name of the.
It runs on
television.
IFC a lot this time of year, so
Yeah. But there's an independent film festival that is in major cities across the country, and it's like one weekend a year that they do it. I can't remember the name of it, but that was one of the movies. And so with the children, I appreciate the concept, but because of the budget, parts of it were pretty laughable, I thought.
yeah. But I think part of it is that I was raised on 80s slashers, and I have
Oh,
such a
for
deep
sure.
affection for them that
Yeah.
low budget stuff. There's a lot I'm willing to overlook if there's heart in a movie.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's look at Slumber Party Massacre and Sleepaway
Oh my
Camp.
God, love that movie.
It's
Yeah.
so much fun.
And that is as cheap as it comes.
Oh yeah.
It was a freaking amazing. Even though we know that like the blood was temper paint.
Oh yeah.
Watered. Yeah. But anyway, let's Sleigh
I
Bells
think-
for
Exactly.
sure.
Part of my love of Sleigh Bells is that it knows exactly what it is.
Correct.
It's not trying to be anything high budget. It's not trying to be highbrow. It's a good time. It's silly it has like a, drunken slovenly Santa, and it's very Boswick, and it's not a great movie, but it's a fun movie.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a good 30 minutes of your life
too. Yeah, it's a good movie to have on when you're having people over for something just like ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's again, it's something that might not be on everybody's radar.
That is true. Sleigh bells. Are you gonna do you have elves?
I struggled with. I mean, there's so many movies. That's the thing. There's so many movies.
I have that on.
10, when you said 10, I was like, oh.
Well, so I would say I didn't have a problem coming up with a top 8, but like 9 through 20, I'm like, these are all pretty interchangeable.
Oh yeah, well, and that's why I say too, a lot of this depends on my mood, because sometimes I just want like something really ridiculous, and sometimes I want something really pretty or really lovely shot or smart or dialogue or good acting. My number 6 is a movie called Sint.
Oh,
and
freaking love Sint.
It's Saint is sometimes what's called.
Yeah.
It's a Dutch movie. It's a dark comedy.
It's really good.
It's really delightful. It's a horror comedy. It's a lot of fun. And it's kind of one I'm surprised doesn't get talked about more.
Dutch.
Because it's that, but I mean, Rare Exports is one that everybody talks about. In fact, I deliberately didn't talk about it because I knew it was going to be on somebody else's list.
Yeah, it's on my list. Yeah.
I know how much you like it, so I was like, I'm going to save that for June.
I didn't. When I found out we're going to go through the list, I deliberately did not list my movies. Yeah, but Scent is freaking amazing.
Yeah,
it's
even
fun.
though you got to
It's a
read
lot
it.
of fun.
It's amazing. Trivia.
You do have to read
It was the number 1 movie in Denmark for the year it came out in 2011.
Oh, wow.
It's really
And remember,
fantastic.
Dutch and Danish are not intelligible languages.
My number 5 is one that was already Jake's honorable mention, which is Nightmare Before Christmas, which I absolutely consider horror. The same way I consider Hocus Pocus horror.
I do have to interject about Nightmare Before Christmas. When it first came out, when I was married at the time, my husband and I went to go see it with this extremely Christian couple, and it was my choice to pick the movie. And I said, well, let's pick something fun and animated, let's do Nightmare Before Christmas because this looks really cute. And, it's like that's kind of when I really, really found out that I was not like a lot of other people. And
a lot like other Christians.
Yes, exactly. And so you bring these people, this couple who are holier than thou, and I'm saying that with quotes. And, it was just like them sitting next to us in the theater. We're watching this. And, I think there was one part, I think that was the part where the little kid pulls out the shrunk, the head from a box.
I love that moment.
Shows it to the parents or something like this. And they both looked at me like I was Satan.
Wait, you're not Jake?
I'm not. Sometimes I try, but they every little scene, I'll never forget that. It's like, but they didn't leave, which is really funny. But they kept looking at me like I was the one that was corrupt. And then,
well, of course they didn't leave. They stayed so they could tell you all about it later.
Yes, and then I read the whole thing about how what a horrible person I was after, why did you pick that movie? That was disgusting and so sexy.
And I really want to go watch Human Centipede with these people.
Exactly. But I just had to throw that in there. I'll never forget watching it, and I felt so bad. But I thought, what's so wrong with this movie? It was hilarious. I loved it.
Adorable. It's like, again, it's a really great way. It can be gateway horror, but it's completely mainstream.
It is. And let me tell you, I grew up as Anglican as all get out. So in the States, they don't really talk about Anglican. It's more of a Canadian, British thing and stuff. So this would be like Episcopalian or something like this.
Yeah.
Like we have no problems with A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
None whatsoever. It's like
That's
this is
good.
just a fun
Oogie Boogie, man. Oogie Boogie is the
like
man.
dead
Yes.
things and
I love his
which usually if
voice,
you're
too.
Anglican you just reject all that stuff, blah blah blah. But like anyway. Katie, you were talking. I mean, you got anything more? Katie, you got anything more to chime in about that?
Well, I can tell you in the South, you have a lot of different types of Protestantism, and I can see exactly what June was talking about the type of person who would sit and watch The Nightmare Before Christmas with you so that they could have plenty of ammunition to tell you how you're going to hell, how the devil's going to
Hell
crawl
in a
out from
handbasket.
under your bed, and how he's going to come out of your closet, and slash you to death or whatever. I can just hear it.
My mind is boggled. The hypocrisy behind, this is so awful. How can anyone watch this? I have to watch the whole thing so I can talk about how awful it is.
Yeah.
Well, they have to.
It's like, is that how you can justify watching it? Because you actually want to watch it. You want to watch it. Just admit it.
I mean, it's a really good movie.
What did you get? It's a child's movie. It's what is rated PG.
PG.
Yeah.
It was actually I just looked up. It was rated PG.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that I'll show to my younger relatives and kids I'm babysitting of a certain age, and man, like I have this little 6-year-old girl who I watch sometimes, and she just loves it. She loves the little trio, and she loves Oogie Boogie and the bugs and the.
I have a feeling that little 6-year-old girl is going to grow up to be a lot like Kim.
Oh, she's been in a couple of my classes before, and her chat.
That's
She's
awesome.
like,
I love
I
it.
was gonna say though, how can you not like Oogie Boogie?
I know. The Oogie
Exactly.
Boogie Man.
and kind of leading into that, my number 4 is one that I didn't want to even put it number 4 because I love this movie, but we're getting into my top ones that I love them all sort of equally, again, depending on my mood. My number 4 is Krampus.
Yes, mine
Okay.
too. I
Yep.
love Krampus.
I love it.
Absolutely. And people have to make sure that they get the right Krampus because
Yeah.
there are a
That's
couple
true.
of really bad Krampus movies.
There's if Adam Scott's in it, you're doing good.
Yeah. There's like 80 versions of Krampus
There's a
out there.
lot of versions
There's
of
a lot of Krampus, yeah.
and
And
it's
really low budget. You're talking about the big budget like Universal or something like that.
More
version.
recent
the
ones.
same director as Trick or Treat, which is Halloween.
One of my favorites.
Absolutely love Trick or Treat. I'm sorry, Jason
Me
of
too.
Crypticon. Jason hates Trick
How
or Treat.
Why?
just
How
wait,
could he not
how-
hate? Yeah. How could he
How
hate?
can you hate
how
Trick or
do you
Treat?
hate
I
Trick or
didn't even
Treat?
see that.
Trick or Treat tends to. I get it. Like I know a lot of people, especially horror fans, who are not fans of Trick or Treat, and that's fine.
Why?
I appreciate not every movie is everyone's cup of tea, because there's certainly movies that I'm not a big fan of that other people are. And to me, as long as there is a way to not enjoy a movie and there's a way to be a dick about it. And it's okay to say that's not my cup of tea. That's not a movie I like, or even I really don't like. I mean, ATM, I really don't like that movie. But I'm not going to like say that you're wrong for liking it, because we like
You can totally shit on my parade on that one. It's fine.
but taste is subjective. So as long as nobody's being an asshole about it. But no, I think Krampus for me, and it's because I like Gremlins, but I don't love Gremlins the way a lot of people love Gremlins. I think
I do love Gremlins. Yes.
I like it, but it was never something I connected to as much. Krampus for me is the like, if I, it's something I'll show my nephew when he gets just a little bit older. It's something that you can watch with kids, knowing it's going to be a little scary, but it's dark, but an accessible dark. It's not a dark that's too dark. And the act, I mean, my God, the cast.
Cast is great.
No,
Gremlins is a meticulously crafted film.
But Krampus is for me is one I went and saw it a couple times in theaters, and I brought my mom to see it, and it was just a blast.
Yeah.
My number 3 is probably
Just wait on Krampus.
Oh, sorry.
The one commentary is you will either love or absolutely hate the twist ending.
Oh, that's true.
That is
You
true.
will either love it or you will hate it. There is no in between on that, and we'll get into it.
No spoilers.
It made my list. I loved
it.
So when it comes
I love
around
it
to me,
too.
I'll go into it.
It's one of those endings where you go, oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's let it lie.
If
till
you're
we
a
get
fan
to
of
it.
his work, you have to see it coming.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because he has a dark streak, and anyway.
Yeah, so usually,
The direction it's going to go in.
yeah. So I would say when I put my list together, I put it like general public kind of thing, and they're not going to be aware of directors and their portfolio and stuff like that. So that's how I went through mine. It's just like
smart.
if I were going to do a Wan list of movies, I think it was James Wan.
Yes.
List of movies, like I would have my fanboy list, and I would then have a separate general people.
That's fair.
list.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing. Again, this list for me is a little bit of some of my favorites, but also some that I think people may not be as familiar with that I think they should check.
Yeah.
Right.
And I will say you are going hard on the not familiar with.
I pride myself on sometimes throwing some things out there that because it's they're the classics are the classics, and there's stuff that I know you guys are going to cover too. So I was like, they're going to cover this. I can talk about this.
Yeah. For sure. And I appreciate that.
Oh yeah.
Because the stuff that Kim is bringing up, listeners out there, you should check it out. It's all really good shit.
Yeah.
It's not always shit you would think of.
Yeah.
I agree.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
My
Cheers,
number.
girl.
I'm gonna have to refill in a second.
If you need to run away, because I mean, we got June next, we got Wendy, and then I'll do my list.
I may run out when I finish through my list.
Okay.
My number 3 is probably my all-time top bad movie. It's the movie that's so bad it circles back around, and I think it's brilliant. And that is Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. Or as I like to say, garbage.
Yes.
Cheers.
Excuse me.
This movie.
Talk
I could
about
barely get through the
shitstorm.
trailer, let alone-
It's almost the Trolls 2 of Christmas movies.
See, the thing is, it's so. I actually think it's brilliant because it's so bad.
Oh yes.
This is a movie that my mainstream friends of mine who are not horror fans but who appreciate a good bad movie, I've gotten them to watch it and love it.
That's even more fun, though. Yes.
It's so ridiculous. It's so and I mean, like 2/3 of it is Silent Night, Deadly Night. It's practically a clip show episode of Silent Night, Deadly Night.
The greatest hits from the first movie.
But it's so ridiculous and so silly.
Yeah.
More so than any. I mean, again, there was a lot of sequels, and I watched them all. I wrote an article. I watched all 6 of those movies, and then wrote reviews of each
Wow.
one.
I'm impressed.
I will
I've
say,
only made it to 2.
I've
yeah,
seen.
That's dedication.
Yeah. So since we're on the subject of Silent Night, Deadly Night,
Yeah.
most people don't realize because you've got the video on demand, or they didn't have theatrical releases, but Initiation and Toymaker did not suck whatsoever.
No.
It's just no one saw them.
Saw
But I
them.
was a big fan of Initiation.
Yeah. They're. I mean, the thing is
Can't
that
remember it.
none of the Silent Night, Deadly Night movies are really bad. There's some of them are kind of. They're not particularly memorable. Like part 3 for me.
Yeah.
I always have to remind myself.
Yeah, no, 3.
That
It's
part-
just kind of like Prom Night 2 with Betty Lou's or whatever.
It's one that for me, part 3 was very forgettable, but part 4 and 5 are solid and completely unrelated, really.
Yeah, they got nothing to do with the other
maybe I'll
ones.
have to watch those. I just kind of brushed them off because I thought it's going to be more of the same, the same thing. So maybe I'll have to watch them anyway.
Go Kim.
In it. So it's worth watching part 3 just for Bill Moseley.
True. But so how I view the Silent Night, Deadly Night movies is because I was a huge fan of the Puppet Master movies. And as you go on, they're all, pretty good. They're kind of casually related.
Yeah.
But,
well, I mean, I think kind of how they intended Halloween to be initially before part 3 didn't do great and they went back to the
Well, that's because Season of the Witch was a shit show that we should just forget about. However, I love
really
the
was
song
not that
with
bad.
masks.
If it
was a standalone movie, I think that people would have liked it better.
I agree.
They just called it Season of Witch.
Yeah.
Season of the Witch, and they didn't do anything Halloween. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, the same way I kind of feel like and this might be sacrilege, if the remake,
we're all about heresy.
Well, if the remake of Black Christmas was called literally anything else and wasn't billed as a remake of Black Christmas, it's it's pretty run of the mill, but it's entertaining.
And are you talking the 2006?
That is 2006 version.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the remake. I did not think that I really needed the backstory so much on Billy. I really did not think I needed that backstory, and especially some of the backstory I really didn't really want to see. Ugh.
Who doesn't love a black cookie?
Yeah, the incest thing is just like, oh.
Yeah, well, so let's because we're on the subject, because we do have a new Black Christmas coming out in 2019, which is a reimagining and really has nothing to do with the other two movies.
Friday the 13th.
I'm excited about it. It's a woman director.
I am.
I didn't even see that.
It is frat boy. It's frat boy warlocks versus sorority hunters.
Yeah,
is really the new Black Christmas.
You watch the trailer because the trailer basically gives away the trailer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hate that when trailers do that. Let's not even get started on trailers sometimes. It's like,
but I am looking forward to Black Christmas 2019, December 20, which is Friday, December the 13th.
I'm very much excited
watch
to see it.
I'm totally down for that. Kim, are we going to go? What are we going to do? Are we going to do this in June? Are we going to do this because we're all Puget Sounders?
Kim has not finished yet.
What's that?
I said Kim has not finished yet.
Why are we going to go see Black Christmas?
I thought you meant like it was next on their list. I was like, wait a second, Jacob.
No. I'm talking about us in Puget Sound going to this movie.
I would love to.
Remember, you can shut down Daddy whenever you want because Daddy's lit. I'm totally not going to take it personally. You can shut me down. It's fine, girls.
No,
it's fine.
We love
shut me down.
Jacob. Don't want to shut
Katie.
Don't want to shut Daddy down.
I'm listening.
So, Katie, on your side, let's just talk about, because you got a lot of folks here from the Midwest and the Pacific Northwest. So, representing the South, do you think, when it comes to horror, do people prefer a good slasher story, or is it really a ghost story that resonates with people?
I love ghosts.
For me, it is always something supernatural, like a ghost story.
Me too. I love that.
But my favorite horror movie of all time is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Talk about slasher.
The hair on the back of my neck always stands up when he runs out of that house and grabs that girl and drags her back in. That is just so.
Throws her on the hook while he's cutting up her boyfriend. Oh my
and you're kicking your feet and stepping, going, get it away from me, but you can't quit watching.
That's true.
Want to bet?
I made a bunch of my friends at a slumber party when I was like 13 watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And the one comment that happened when the girl gets hung on the meat hook is there's like dead silence, and then one of my girlfriends just goes, "My dad used to date her."
Oh my gosh, seriously?
The girl on the meat hook. So
Wow.
just
My dad used to date her.
my number 2, and it was actually in my top 10 movies last year. It made my top 10 list last year, and it's a movie called Anna and the Apocalypse.
I love that.
I saw the trailer. It looked really fun.
It's like you've got
It's
all
great.
the things Kim love. You've got horror, you've got Christmas, you've got musical, because it is a horror Christmas zombie musical. It's a horror Christmas zombie musical, people.
It is fabulous.
And it's
Yes.
counted that way.
So much fun. It
It
is
is
so much fun.
Just delightful. And I got
I
to see
think-
it last year in theaters, and it's streaming in a couple different places now.
I had to buy it. Yes.
It's on my Christmas list. I utterly adored this movie. It's so cute, and it's full of heart too. It really is just full of heart. And so if you're somebody who likes, and I'm a sucker for a good teen movie too. It's just, there's so many things, and the music's fun. The music's catchy. The performances are great. It's just a good time, and it's quickly made its way into my must watch this holiday season.
I totally agree.
Do you still got wine, girl?
I gotta go refill, but I got one more movie left, so I'm gonna do that after the same my number. Which I imagine my number 1 movie is probably on your all's lists. My number 1 movie is the ultimate in Christmas horror, and that is Black Christmas.
Oh yeah.
All right.
The 1974 version.
1970.
Of course.
A live tweet of it every year on Christmas Eve. It's you just can't compare, and it's also, I mean, it's an early slasher film. You're looking at the foundation of the slasher genre being created before you.
So this is pre-Halloween, people.
This is
Halloween was 1978. This is 1974.
Yes.
Before. And I mean,
And when you watch it, the reason a lot of the stuff feels done is because this was the template that became the rest of
it's but part of what I love about it, and beyond the fact that, again, you have an absolutely fantastic top-notch cast. You have
Yes.
Olivia Hussey. You have
I love her. Romeo and Juliet.
and Andrea Martin. My God, like, you have just these absolutely fantastic actors, and you have some, like, they tackle abortion in it,
They do.
and it's fascinating to me that they're willing in the 1970s to do something that you don't see most movies today going into. It's just, it was very shocking at the time, and again, there was boycotts about it because it was a Christmas horror film, but it's really, and it's genuinely creepy and off-putting.
And one of the things too about it, I think, is so really good about it, is they don't give a motive for the killing or the killer.
Yeah.
I mean, you have
very true.
absolutely no idea why this guy Billy is coming back to to do all this. What was his reason? There's no reason. He's just
and he's very human too. He is not a superhuman slasher villain. He is a very human villain, and it's terrifying. And I mean, again, Olivia Hussey is part, like, she just elevates it.
And the phone calls that they get always give me goosebumps because they're so chilling.
Well, it's that element too of when a stranger calls.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was
when a
going to
stranger calls. Totally used the idea.
Yeah.
When a stranger calls with Carol Kane.
Yeah, was that
Carol Kane.
1978?
79, I think.
78 or
yeah, it was
9.
later. Yeah.
About the time I was babysitting a lot.
Yeah, probably.
But I mean, let's
really,
put perspective on that with the anonymous caller, the creepy caller, because you had Scream in 1996, which was all about the caller, though it throws back to a stranger when a stranger calls versus,
But
So
it also,
like,
I mean, with Scream 2, you have really the push of the meta horror film happening.
yeah, that's true.
The self-aware horror film that's
Yeah.
taking all the tropes and then turning them back around to become self-aware and to play off of the fact that we all know these horror tropes, which is where, again, what I think June had said, like, or Wendy, maybe you said this about the original Black Christmas was you were watching these tropes being formed. This was the birth of them. June,
Right.
yeah. And When a Stranger Calls in '79, they took a lot of what I think you see in Black Christmas, and they use it through their devices, and they use it in a very different way that I think is extremely effective, at least in the first 20 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
But it's playing off of those same ideas, and also this idea of a killer that is very close by, and a killer that is almost inevitable, like that's in your house, that
Mm-hmm.
there's no rhyme or reason for it, but it's somebody is invading your home, and that's terrifying.
Wow.
So to me, in that regard, with Black Christmas, there was a movie, I think in the early 60s, it was a black and white. If you remember the lady who was handicapped and trapped in her elevator in her house,
Oh, yes.
it
Yes.
seems like it's even Black Christmas is a throwback to that movie, because I love home invasion movies simply because you think you're safe and you're
But
not.
you're not.
So like even Panic Room,
even
which is
more
more
terrifying.
recent
And
and
The
stuff like that.
Strangers is one that always.
Oh,
Yeah, The Strangers.
if we were
terrifying.
just doing straight up, like I think The
Ah.
Strangers is classic
Oh, yeah.
horror that
And
like
home invasion
goes throughout
movies,
time.
for me, home
Just
invasion
for
really
home.
is the only, I'd say, subgenre of horror that really ever scares me, because every other horror film, I'm a theater kid, and
You feel
I
safe.
love
You don't think
horror.
you don't think it'll really happen to you.
No.
Yeah.
I want to dissect how they did something, but I know it's not real. But home invasion, that
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
happen, and that's terrifying.
And
I
if you've ever
agree.
had somebody walk into your house, which
Oh.
I lived in a declining neighborhood at one point, and in two different occasions, people walked into my house.
Holy
And
crap.
they meant no harm. They were just people who didn't know any better for one reason or another. But what I realized from it was that it doesn't matter what you have in your house, what kind of weapons, it doesn't matter, because they will be on you
Yeah.
before
you can
you
blink.
understand what is
Oh.
happening.
Yeah.
That's really
And the thing it
terrifying.
taught me is always lock your door.
That's good. That's
Because
good.
at least you have that couple of minutes while they break down your door, and hopefully they make enough noise that you know they're coming in.
Yeah. But that's
terrifying.
my 10. There's some holes, but they're holes that I know are going to be filled by some of you ladies, or Jake.
I'm kind of a lady.
You are. You're part of the
Yeah,
club.
he's one of us.
I'm gonna go refill my wine.
But Kim,
Yes.
since you're there and you have a blurred
Yes.
background, we have seen your precious kitty walking around in the background, so we need to make sure we see her or him,
Her.
Her.
Mm-hmm.
during this broadcast. So if you can grab little girly.
She's sleeping in her heated bed, but when she jumps on the bed again, I'm at my folks' house, so I had to take Matilda. I had to bring Matilda with me, and she's been adjusting. She did not super like being transported here, but she's starting to mellow out a little bit. So if she when she jumps up on the bed again, which she probably will, I'll hold her up. She's a doll. She's
Okay.
just a little.
Yes, she is. She's
Okay,
Did I
because
understand you to say she has a heated bed?
A heated bed. She's got a little.
Oh my gosh.
Just
Well, I
all
thought
of
my
them have a
dog had
heated bed.
everything.
Yep.
It's a little tiny. It's very cute. It's a little heated kitty bed, and she's snuggled
Wow.
now, so I don't want to disturb her. But she'll jump back on the bed at some point. I'll hold her up. She's a doll. She's a sweetheart.
Lucky cat. Lucky
Okay.
yes,
cat.
she is.
so at this point we've got like 29 minutes. Just so you know, guys, this episode's gonna go long, so just hang with us.
Oh,
But Wendy Schindler with the amazing Augie Doggy, who's also doing some pet sitting. You're up for your list of favorite holiday horror movies. You
Well,
don't have to do like a top 10. Just throw some shit out there, girl.
Exactly.
we all liked. Oh crap! It went right out of my head.
That's okay. Have you
Just
been
I all
drinking
liked
wine?
it,
It's
yeah.
okay. If you have, I totally understand. Oh, Daddy's
Did
gonna
it
need
have
another glass.
Did it
then.
have a psychotic Santa in it?
Yes,
Did it
Christmas,
have?
Christmas horror story. A Christmas horror story. Yes. Yeah. And the completely ripped Krampus. I mean, good God,
Oh yeah.
how did he have time to kill anybody? He had to be lifting weights all the time, right?
Oh, totally. He looked great.
Yeah, he did. Like, I haven't seen this version before. I like it.
That was a buff Krampus in a
Yes,
Christmas horror story.
completely.
A
Mhm.
very, very buff Krampus.
You know, for an anthology, that is not a particularly bad one. Christmas
It's
Horror
really
Story.
fun.
No,
Yeah.
I thought it was real good. And
Yeah.
June,
Yeah.
did you say it was from the makers of Trick or Treat?
Uh-huh. Okay.
was.
Well, that makes sense
Yeah.
because that's one of the better anthologies.
Oh, definitely. And
Mhm.
I love the William Shatner character as he's
Oh, the
He's-
DJ.
Yeah.
So
DJ
You know,
Will.
if-
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if we're gonna talk about a Christmas horror story,
Mm-hmm.
the ending twist ending is polarizing.
Yes.
And when we get to like my bit, I'll go into it. Did make
Okay.
my top 10.
Okay. Mhm.
Spoiler alert.
Mhm.
mine too.
But if you want to go into it at that time, but I will say you will either love or hate the twist ending to A Christmas Horror Story, and I'll leave it there for now.
Now,
That's true.
another one. It wasn't a movie, but we have discussed this before. But Nosferatu, because everybody
yeah,
was
back
trying
in
to
the
get
day.
the
Oh,
Christmas
that is
land.
so good.
Yeah.
The series, yes.
The
The
recent
yes, Christmas Town.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Now I read the book.
I did too.
a while ago. It was very, very good. I enjoyed the book a lot. So I've seen the first episode. Jacob's getting more wine.
Uh-oh.
But
Should I stop recording?
Yeah, no. This will even get better.
Ooh, a way to make a little money, a little Christmas money.
Well, every year at Halloween, I have a Halloween binge, okay, of horror
Mhm.
movies. And
Yep.
my favorite thing this year was Nosferatu. It
Mhm.
was I read the book, but I read it so long ago that I've forgotten it. So I wasn't offended by the adaptation. One of my friends who had
Yeah.
recently read the book and she was very offended by the adaptation. She said, "Oh, they did so many things different," but luckily I didn't remember, and so I was just really enchanted by the adaptation of
really-
It was
Nosferatu.
good, yeah. Now
Well,
the
you know,
very,
that's one
very
thing.
ending.
I was just going to say that's one thing too about a lot of these adaptations. You know, they try to condense things down so much that now Kim and Jake both have their wine, the red wine and the white wine, so things should be.
I spotted a big bottle of Bailey's in the refrigerator here, so you know.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh,
Totally
Yeah,
drink
here.
that.
Did
shit,
I?
girl.
What movies did I
Totally.
miss? What movies did I miss?
We were talking
Um,
about A Christmas Horror Story.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I knew one of you was going to talk about it, which is why I didn't talk about it.
It's really one of the only ones that recently and memorable for me. So I went ahead and tackled it.
Well, it's fun. It's fun.
Oh,
William
gosh, yeah.
Shatner, and it's just a good time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It is a really
so
good time.
we're holding off on the twist ending.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we
No,
have
that's one people need to kind of see themselves.
Yeah.
Yes,
Nosferatu,
you do have to see it yourself.
The recent series that came out.
Nosferatu.
Oh, is that Zachary Quinto?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a Jonah Hill book, who is Stephen King's son.
Right.
It's his
Yes,
series,
yes.
right?
But not Jonah Hill,
No, not Jonah Hill.
not the other.
That's
Oh yeah.
My mind went somewhere else with
Is it
that.
Jonas? I don't remember. It's Stephen
Okay,
King's kid.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. The Charlie Manx
Just
and
Joe Hill.
mhm.
I was like, just Joe Hill,
This
not
is-
Jonah.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
Is it Joe
I
Hill?
thought it was
Whatever.
funny.
You know, the
It
Hill
was.
spawn. I mean, the King spawn. Yeah.
The King Spawn. Spawn of
I
the
just-
King.
When
I
his
don't know,
little
guys. You
dry
can't go by what I
Christmas hat.
say or like in horror movies. I like Tucker and Dale versus Evil beyond all.
Oh, that's
I love that
amazing.
Yes.
I
Well,
love
I
that
love-
movie so much. It's
Oh,
the
it's
best
good.
movie.
So, I mean, since we're on the subject like Stephen King and stuff like that, I didn't bring this up because it was a TV miniseries. But
Mhm.
one of my
Which one?
favorite winter-based horror movies was Storm of the Century,
Okay.
which came out in the mid-90s. It was Stephen
Mhm.
King with
The atmosphere, everything about that.
yeah,
It was like,
and
for Easter.
I loved that 3-episode miniseries, but it didn't really fit this one. But Storm of the Century is one of my favorite winter-based
winter.
horror movies
Yeah.
with Linoge. All
Really
that.
eerie
Okay.
ending on that one.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
was,
I thought it
especially
was really
because,
good.
we're dealing with little kids and stuff like that, and he
Oh,
needs
yeah.
to rejuvenate. And we're going to
Mhm.
spoil this one. It's like 12-year-old kid from this town in Maine, and essentially he becomes this nightmare demon winter thing that wiped out Jamestown and Virginia and shit like that, and it's in Maine and all that good stuff. So let me have more wine.
I bet you got Roanoke too.
The Roanoke.
Well, I mean, they talked about Roanoke and Jamestown and all that stuff with it, but I thought that was an amazing.
It wasn't the
TV
Roanoke
miniseries.
on Mercer Island, was it? Because that'd be amazing.
Yeah, that would be.
We
That
can
would really-
shoot it on Mercer Island. Okay.
I
I'll
spent
shut
enough
up.
time on Mercer Island.
I'm there
I'm good.
now.
Um,
I'm right there
June's
now.
there now.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Christmas. It's winter. I need to look and see. There's a movie I'm sure June, you know it. Jake, you probably know it. Pontypool.
Oh yeah.
I
I've
do
heard of
not
that.
know
I watched the
Pontypool.
first little bit
Jake,
of
you
that.
gotta watch Pontypool. It's winter. I don't know that is it Christmas?
No.
It
well,
might.
I don't know. They
I
might
don't,
have
I don't know.
but it's one of those movies. Actually, it's a really good movie. I don't know if I really liked the whole preface about about what it was about. And I mean how they figured it out, what not to do or what not to say,
Right.
basically like this. I mean, it could have been anything, but they just, I can't even explain it. But I liked it because the acting was really good and the whole
The acting's
It's
phenomenal.
Canadian, so I'm gonna like it.
Yeah. Well, and
concept
and
is really-
Stephen McCatty he's just like, my God, he's good.
Yes, he's really good. I
He's
love it.
so good at it. And I like it because it's utterly unique.
Yes,
It's
very
so
unique.
unique.
It
And
is unique.
That idea of looking at, essentially zombies, but not like any kind of zombie you.
And how they became zombies. That's the whole
Yeah.
thing like that. It's like, but yeah, it was hard for me to get around that, but I really liked the whole premise. I liked the concept. I liked how it happened.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they started becoming that way. I liked all of a sudden you're like, oh no.
And
when they start, yeah, it was really
It's winter time. I'm not sure if it's Christmas, but it's winter. So if we're kind of going back to,
good. I'll have to watch it again.
winter
It's been a
horror,
while.
Oh,
Mhm.
it's beautiful. Just even from the very first moment when he goes Pontypool, and they're showing the snow and I absolutely
one of-
utterly adore that movie.
One of the first scenes that actually gives you goosebumps. I mean, when he encounters the woman,
woman.
it kind of really gives you goosebumps because you're like, what in the hell?
And
Yeah.
You're looking for a horror film unlike almost any other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
So
I do agree.
yeah, as I read it, this is, because let's be real about zombies. Usually we think about reanimated dead people.
We think about Romero zombies too,
Yeah,
which is
but
a really
Zombie.
modern idea of a zombie.
yeah, but then we got 28 Days
Yeah, 28 days later.
which changed it, which is a virus, and Pontypool is a virus movie.
Okay.
In a way.
In a way, but again, it's unlike any zombie movie I've ever seen, partially because of how it deals with, for lack of a better word, the infection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And it's for as unique as 28 Days Later is, it's still a zombie movie. In a fairly
Yes.
traditional zombie movie for the most part. Even if the infection is different, even if it's this rage and they're fast and that's a whole other kind of scary,
Right.
it's still a fairly traditional zombie film. This isn't, and it's isolating. I mean, most of the action takes place in the radio station and in the sound
Right.
booths and it. And so it's
That's what makes
you
it
also
even
have
creepier. Yeah. The
yeah, you
isolation.
have this isolation and escaping every so often to brief moments out of doors, but mostly you're listening to it. You're listening to what they're listening to. And that's a
like, oh crap. You know, I don't know how many times I might have said that through that.
yeah, well, it's similar to the movie I mentioned earlier, the Await Further Instruction, which is this very isolated film. And it's part of what I found really appealing about it. I find those kinds of movies fascinating and a very real kind of scary, even if the topic itself is something very unreal. It's very easy to imagine a scenario where you are completely isolated in a room and you don't know what's going on outside. I mean, it's a nightmare. It's a nuclear bomb. It's a virus. It's something that's keeping you from being able to leave, but without knowing what's going on. That's a whole other kind of fear. And it's just heightening that.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that description. That's really good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so on the zombie genre, because I do have a zombie movie on my list. Generally speaking, I'm not a fan of undead zombies. I
You like the
like
dead ones?
I like the virus infected ones. So the Dawn of the Dead remake from like 2005 in Milwaukee is one of my favorites. But
I love
like
that one
Night
too.
of the Living Dead doesn't register with me, or Day of the Dead or Dawn of the Dead, the Romero ones.
Night of the
I
Zombies.
appreciate them.
I appreciate, don't get me wrong, I do appreciate them. It's just,
They're not movies I watch for fun.
yeah, no.
But for
I
in the-
agree.
I very much appreciate them as films.
Yes, I appreciate them as films. However, like with The Walking Dead and stuff like that.
By season 10, we're all doing that anyway. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay. So June, just wait. I don't see Wendy. Wendy, are you
Wendy's
on
video.
What's going on? Like, if
I-
you
I
needed
took
to
it
get
off.
Bailey's, I totally understand.
Oh no.
I was there
You guys are
when I-
starting to glitch on this computer, so I thought maybe if I took the video off, it would. And it
Okay.
has. It's kind of even things out again for me.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
Kim and our clinking glasses here.
So Wendy, what are some more?
But she's sleeping.
What are some more of your movies, Wendy?
Well, Die Hard, and
Yeah.
yeah.
It has a Christmas scene in there.
Exactly,
You know,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I do think of Die
Yippee-ki-yay,
Hard
yeah.
as a Christmas movie.
It's cold. It's winter. There's a
Yeah.
Christmas party. You know.
It's literally
And
Christmas.
they're killing Nazis, which is even better.
Ooh.
And you,
Yeah.
Alan Rickman.
Alan
Mhm.
Rickman.
Yeah.
Aw, my
Who's an
heart.
amazing actor.
I love
He
him.
was.
Amazing.
Colonel
Yeah,
Brandon.
I'll say I like Alan Rickman.
May he rest in peace.
May he rest in
Definitely.
peace. Just wait, Kim, let's cheers.
Well, I guess for zombie movies, Zombies was one of my favorites.
Oh, I love all zombies.
The beer. Or the ice cream.
Oh.
It was the green ice
The
cream, right?
green ice cream, yeah. Toxic, nuclear toxic ice cream.
Mhm,
That is the
mhm.
cutest movie. Oh
It
my
really
gosh. Yeah.
But yeah, I really can't think of a whole lot of others that I'm going to do a little blaspheme here and say
Oh, that's fine.
Uh-oh.
Rare Imports didn't hold my attention. It
Oh,
just
okay.
didn't. I kept falling asleep.
So,
I'm sorry.
Uh-oh. Jake's gonna
Rare
take you down.
Imports. No. I'm actually on Wendy's side here.
Yeah.
I loved 80%
Yeah.
of rare imports.
Was it
Most-
mostly the naked portion?
No, not even that. It was the final 20% I did not care for. And rare imports did make my list. But
I enjoyed it. I wasn't quite as tickled by it as a lot of people are, and I mean,
Yeah.
it didn't make my list
Ditto.
partially because for me, it's not must watch. I'm not offended if somebody said let's watch it who's never seen it or who wants to watch it the holiday season, but it's not for me. It's not a go-to.
yeah. Like I said, the 80% of 4/5 of it I
Yeah.
thought was really outstanding
well done.
Christmas holiday horror.
And it was so different, yes.
Yeah, and
That's
it
one
was
thing
so
I loved.
different. Yeah.
And
It's just
I
the final
appreciate you
20%
being
didn't do it for me.
Thanks, Jake.
Yeah, but rare imports did make my list.
Well, and in general, it's so hard to find the perfect horror film. I feel like
Yeah.
the vast majority of horror films, I like 60 to 80% of this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really rare that I am 100%, and that's where I look at like my top couple. I'm like, Black Christmas for me, that was 100%.
Me
That
too.
movie is goddamn brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also the guy that did A Christmas Story, so
Yeah.
fuck the haters. Hey, we
Yeah.
really started now.
I mean, holiday. So when I get to my bit, I'll do my bit.
Okay.
I'll do my bit when we get to it. But June.
The thing is, all the movies I had on my list have been covered. I was trying to see if there's anything different. I did throw Gremlins in there because Gremlins, holds a special place in my heart because that's when I
Yes.
graduated high school, and I remember going
Mhm.
out to see that.
Mhm.
Krampus is up there too, and it's like,
God bless
Oh,
that
what-
movie.
well, what did you think of Better Watch Out?
I liked Better Watch
Yeah, it
Out.
was fun. It was fun.
It was fun.
I had a lot
It
of
made
fun.
my list.
Mhm.
Ooh.
And we can go into this.
Yes, we can go over that. So,
Like-
basically everything I had has been covered already that we've kind of talked about. But Better Watch
Yeah.
Out, I think, is one we have not covered, and that was one
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really enjoyed.
I
And A
really
Christmas
enjoyed
Story. Yeah.
Better Watch Out as well. And so let's just put in perspective, there was another movie from the early 80s called Better Watch Out, but it was also called, I think, Christmas Sleigh or something like that.
Oh, yes.
The-
See, I was
the
going to say, I
movies-
know it is Christmas Sleigh.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
had, I don't know if it was 80, it might have been 1980.
I
But,
know
like-
exactly who you're talking about. The wrestler
Yeah.
that was the
But
yeah.
Better Watch Out is a different from 2016/2017, depending on if you
Exactly.
saw
Yeah.
the theater or like the festival release or the
Right.
theatrical release. It'll be 2016 or 2017. And then you have the one from like 1980 or 81, something like that. It was part of the slasher
It was part of the
craze.
slasher craze of
Yeah.
the 80s. Because there's a whole slew. I feel like I almost want to post a list of all of these redonkulous slashers of the 80s that were Christmas
that would be fun,
adjacent.
actually. That would be
Yeah.
really fun.
I have a list of pretty much, there's like, I think I have 99 horror films on this Christmas list.
Yeah.
With special shout out to a movie called Santa Claus. LAW.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
2005.
Oh, I was going by the
Claus.
96 one. The 96
Oh, okay.
The old in the
Yeah,
90s.
because you have like Red Christmas, and then there's Silent Night, Bloody Night in
Bloody
there
Night.
as well. We have
Silent Night.
elves.
night.
Okay, so guys, this one did make my list, and we haven't talked about it.
Elves.
Well, yeah, that one. But Jack Frost from 1997.
Oh,
We
I
have
love
not
Jack
talked about
Frost.
Jack Frost.
It was so
which
stupid
is
that it was
shit, but it's fun.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
saw it late. I think because I talk to people who I enjoy it. I think it's fun for camp. I'll probably do a live tweet of it this year.
oh, that would
But-
be fun.
Yeah, it's a good time. I saw it a little too late though to have some of the fond memories or the there's the movies that are so bad and part of your love for them stems from the nostalgia.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I saw it on in my late 20s for the first time. And so again, I dig it. It's fun. Again, I will happily live tweet it. But I'm missing the nostalgia to have the love for it the way I have for a couple other bad slashers and bad horror films.
Right.
But it's a good time and it's silly. And Michael Keaton is fantastic. Oh wait, the other one.
Yeah, wait a second. Wait a second, Kim.
They're both really horrific. And I stand by that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. You know, I was going to say one movie we haven't talked about, and it's really not the whole movie, is the Tales from the Crypt anthology with Joan Collins.
Yeah.
You know, what the original Silent Night, Deadly Night.
I don't remember it. I'm real sure I saw it.
Yes, this is the one with the
memory
Santa.
is gone.
Yeah.
And it's the original.
Was it her husband, wasn't it?
Yes. And all of a sudden, you know, he's like reading the newspaper, happy as a clam. Their little daughter is going to bed, and Mummy, when is Santa Claus coming? I love my Santa Claus. Where's Santa? Go to bed, honey. And then next thing you know, there's a poker on the head or through the eye or something with the husband.
It used that scene because I saw that when I was a little kid, and it's still that like left a whole thing on me. When poker snags on the brain.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that. Oh,
I saw that when I was like
step
7.
away for a minute, just a minute.
Trying to get the goo.
I saw it when I was like 7, and that legit fucked with me. That terrified me. I remember waking my mom up to tuck me in after I caught that. That's how much it disturbed me when I was like 7. It was my brother's fault.
Isn't it funny how a little few seconds of a badly done special effect though can take this huge place in your mind and horrify you for years?
Because I feel like I can still hear it.
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
And I bet money, because I haven't watched it in forever. I bet if I watched it now, I'd be like,
that scared me.
But there you were. Yep.
But the 7, it was very real.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, especially with Santa's involved. The crazy Santa.
And I can't remember if I still believed in Santa at that point or not, but it's still that hit something.
That was awesome.
Have you is Inside on anyone's list?
It is not.
Nope.
No. It's an interesting movie. I'm not generally a huge one on some of the pregnancy and either the baby's trying to kill me or somebody's trying to get the baby kind of movies, but it's interesting. It's well done. And it's Christmas. I think it's Christmas Eve, isn't it, when that's taking place? So if you're into such things, then that's there.
Yeah. And we didn't talk about Treevenge either.
Oh, are you gonna talk? Is it on your list, Jake?
No, it's not.
It is fun. I mean, again, it's a fun. There's so many they're fun movies that really it comes down to like personal taste. Like I like Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is not.
I was thinking that too. I was gonna watch that tonight just to get in the spirit.
It's not my like go-to in the holiday ones, but it's a good time. There's just so many of them.
Yeah. And the whole thing, I think that's different between, because really we're going from Halloween into the happy holidays. When we talk Halloween, we want hardcore horror and gore and scary. But when we move into Thanksgiving through New Year's, we want something lighter.
Oh, I always want it to be really, really scary.
Well, yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I think Christmas, Kim, you talked about this. Christmas is great for ghost stories. Like if you think about A Christmas Carol, that is some great like Grim Tales level shit.
My favorite Christmas Carol is Alistair Sim.
Oh, yeah.
Alistair Sim Christmas Carol. That's my favorite of all time.
But they're releasing a new Christmas Carol for 2019 that is leaning very much into the horror. It's going to be a mini series airing.
I didn't know this.
It's
I'm out of the loop
see
with
one,
so
but
many
I think it's going to be airing in the US. I believe it's airing in FX, and starring. You've got Tom Hardy in it. You've got Guy Pearce is playing Ebenezer Scrooge.
That's some serious shit. Yeah.
It's the Ghost of Christmas Past. You have some like hardcore actors in this movie, and it's I want to say it's a 3-part. It's like December 19th. It's sometime end of December.
Okay.
And
cool.
it looks really fantastic. It's Ridley Scott, I think, is one of the producers. It is leaning full force into horror and leaning full force that like supernatural winter.
Ooh, I can't wait.
It looks just awesome.
I
Totally.
cannot wait to see that. That sounds amazing.
Yes.
For sure.
So there you go.
So Jake, why don't you say a few things about some of yours that haven't been talked about yet?
Yeah. So I mean, we hit most of the movies. So if I'm going to rate the movies, how I approach my list is I thought general population, something that's going to give you a good jolt, highly entertaining. Because if I view it as a horror aficionado, which, like, if you know me, I can talk in depth about Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers and Jason and all those guys. Like, we could go into a 500-page novel.
It will be here until midnight.
Yeah,
exactly.
I still have to go to the store and get some things. So
Yeah. So I'm total nerd. So we're going to
Good
go
luck
over
with
because
that.
we only got 2 minutes left and stuff. But this is my top 10. I talked about I said I was going to have 2 honorable mentions. It turned out I had 5. If I go out here and look at some of the other movies, we talked about most of them. So, like, I was a big fan of Santa Sleigh.
Oh, Santa Sleigh is fun.
Yeah, we didn't
It's
talk
just
about
fun.
Wind Chill.
Oh, yeah, Wind Chill. Wind Chill's, it's good. It's
parts of it are really good and creepy.
Well, and again, you have a good cast, and that elevates it.
Yeah, so that's the whole thing, because you can have a mediocre movie, but if you have the cast, it can, you go from 2 stars to 3 to 4 stars, but it caps out there because of the limitations. Just going through some of these, like, I thought Silent Night, Deadly Night 4 Initiation, Silent Night, Deadly Night, they didn't put a 5 on it, but it was the Toy Maker. Was really good stuff. I'm a big fan of the Puppet Master series, and they did have 1 Christmas movie in there out of like the 20 that they made. Caesar and Otto's Deadly Xmas is a good one. Treevenge is just bad shit. But if I'm gonna, and then of course we have the Jack Frost movies, which didn't really make my list, but they're just fun. But here are my top 10. If you're gonna stream, this is what I'm thinking. It's like, if you're gonna stream some horror movies over the weekend, these are the ones I would stream. Okay. And this is from Thanksgiving through like up to New Year's. So number 10, Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. Because it is a shit storm. All I have to do is say Garage Day. Though I will say I am not a fan of gun violence, because for one thing, if you're a horror aficionado, when someone brings a gun, I'm just like,
it's cheap.
It's the
cheap.
shank
Bring a
action
gun to an
here.
axe fight,
However, garbage day
like,
makes it worth it.
But there are some amazing parts of Silent Night.
It's just brilliant. It's brilliant.
With Mother Superior's
Now I'm going to have to watch this again.
Mother Superior's beheading and the umbrella killing of the mafioso. The umbrella killing is great. The rest of it, it's a shitstorm. However, you gotta watch it just because
shitstorm.
It's a lot of fun, but it is a shitstorm. Shitstorm. Okay. Number 9 is Krampus.
Yeah,
This
Krampus.
is the big budget one with
Ooh, love
Tony
it, love it, love
Collette.
it. Mhm.
So let's just get to the ending. So I'll just put this out there. I thought it was a well-crafted movie,
Mm-hmm.
like good acting, pacing,
Mm-hmm.
setup. It didn't do it for me, and I was not a fan of the ending with the Christmas ornament, which is essentially everything that happened is kind of undone, and family is
Jake.
stuck in the ornament.
Hey,
Jake.
No,
Spoiler
this
alert,
movie
spoiler
came out
alert.
fucking
Spoiler
4
alert.
years ago. I'm
Spoiler
gonna spoil
alert.
this
No.
bitch. I'm gonna spoil.
not
This is
seen it
4
yet.
years old, okay? But they end up in the ornament, like reliving everything and shit like that. But
If
it
you've
was
not
a
seen this
really
movie-
well-made movie, and I like what they did with Christmas, and how the kid called Krampus. I'm gonna give it that. It's a well-made film. It's the best of the Krampus ones. Not doing for Kim, talk shit. June talk shit. You know, guys talk shit.
Wait, what did I talk shit about?
What are we talking
You didn't really
shit
talk
about?
shit about it. It's just like the ending is pretty
Say,
polarizing.
Yeah.
And it's not
No,
really
I
a
like
great
old
movie.
movies.
I'll
Yeah,
actually
I did
say
too.
of I wasn't upset by the ending. My favorite part of Krampus is when they go into the attic and they get the toys attacking them.
Yes, that was so fun. I laughed so
I
hard.
like that. Like you get the
Oh my
Elfie
God.
thing, like
I loved the
serpentine
gingerbread
Elfie
man.
thing.
I love
So I
it.
like that part of it. Oh, quite a bit. Krampus is a very well-made movie. This is the big budget one. This is not there because there's like 60 other Krampuses. It's not. Just wait. Let me have more wine.
Hey, keep drinking.
Okay. Number 8.
Number 8.
Silent Night 2012, which is the reimagining.
And it's good. It's solid.
I agree.
It's good.
I agree.
And so if
Really
you're looking for, and you know, it doesn't take itself too seriously. So this is the reimagining of essentially the first movie of Silent Night, Deadly Night from what was it, 84? Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And so this was part of the trend from like 2008 to 2013, I think, where they like redid Friday the 13th and Halloween.
All those
And-
movies.
And
They're still
so out of
renewing
this,
them.
yeah, out of this period, if you're looking into the reimaginings, for me, the My Bloody Valentine 3D from 2009 is the best of the batch.
I'm sorry, did you say best?
Best
Ah,
of
yeah,
that
the best
batch.
of that batch.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I might be going deaf. Can you say that again? You said best.
And
Well,
actually,
because it had
that's not
Jensen
saying a
Ackles
lot.
as Harry
Oh,
Lord, the
Bitch,
killer.
please.
No, girl, I will battle this till the end of the days with you. But fucking My Bloody Valentine 2009 3D, fucking amazing.
Oh my God.
From a slasher flick. I love that.
Said
I have 3D glasses.
Jake.
That is awesome. That's just
Okay. But Silent Night, Deadly Night. I mean, it's got a big body count. Okay, let's be real. There is nothing unique about Silent Night 2012. However, the kills, for the most part, 3/4, like 17 people die in this movie. Just something.
And it's willing to kill kids, and that's always a thing.
That's true, because most people don't realize, like, the third or fourth kill is the crazy Santa shows up. You get a 14-year-old, like, just ex-post tween given some shit. And, you know, she gets a poker, like hot coal poker, shoved through her and killed. And usually, like, remember, Trick or Treat from 2007 got banned because they killed kids. But Silent Night 2012, they got away with killing the kid. It wasn't banned.
Interesting. I did
Yeah.
not know that it was banned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was banned. So it was banned for a year, and I freaking love Silent Night 2012. I mean, there's some amazing scenes, and it's all stereotypical. And this might be because I'm getting old or something, but they got the scene with the porno in the hotel where they got the lady that's the producer, and she gets the scythe through her and killed, and then you got the porno shooter who gets the scythe through his nuts. But then when it comes to the porn star, she escapes. She falls out of the second story window, lands in garbage. If you know anything about Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, Garbage Day is a big thing.
Garbage day.
And And then she gets her leg
Dang.
cut off and put through a wood chipper, and that's classic.
I mean, who hasn't had that happen at least
Yeah,
once?
I know. It's fun.
Exactly. But, you know, they have some really great visuals in this movie. Like when they get to the jail and you get the jailed, drunk, narcotic dealing Santa going up with killer Santa. And then you pull out the flamethrowers. Like, that is some great
It's legit.
shit.
That
It's
is true.
legit there.
That is really true.
So, even though not the most original, that shit is well crafted. I spent way too much time on the number 8 film. Okay. So, number 7 is Anna and the Apocalypse. It's
Booyah.
and I love it. Now, so here's the whole thing is I viewed this as a Christmas teenage girl version of Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
it
yeah,
was- it-
exactly.
You know,
Music.
it was
Singing.
it's funny, it's amazing. It reminded me a little bit of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, it definitely has some
Mhm.
Buffy going on.
Like,
Mhm.
I'm not a zombie fan, but I appreciated this movie, just like Shaun of the Dead and the is it Dawn or Day of the Dead remake from 2005? You know, with
Dawn-
the running zombies. and
Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn.
Dawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's only like 3 zombie films I actually really I liked 28 Days Later too. So there's like 4 movies, but I really appreciated Anna. and
Watch
Apocalypse.
Pontypool and get back to me.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'll
you
watch
got to.
Pontypool. And it's Canadian. I should know something about
Yeah.
this one.
Mhm.
I need to watch it again now since.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, fucking love that
For sure.
movie, man. It's so good.
So I get up to number 6, and I've got Better Watch Out, which is Home Alone with Cypress.
Yes.
And like
because it's fantastic.
it is fantastic. And what I really like about it, and this is the whole, because for me, Christmas means horror comedy. It's lighter. We just went through a dark period with Halloween and stuff. So if you're going to start slaughtering a bunch of people, please have some fun with it. Because Halloween horror is usually just straight to the chase. This is some gross shit. But June is yawning.
I'm sorry.
Past
Yeah.
for bedtime.
I
it's
had-
just the
I
door
had
stuff.
2 hours of sleep last night. My flight
know.
got in
I'm
after
girl.
midnight.
Like you sleep and shit because
And
we
then-
got to film we got to do a podcast.
And then I had to go
sleeping
to
and some
work
shit.
at 6:30.
Oh, girl. Shit.
So,
Fuck.
you
Let
know.
me just cheers.
Thank you. And now I have to go to the store and get things.
Let me tell you, I catered my Thanksgiving and I'm moving on. But with Better Watch Out, I thought it was some classic horror. You know, in some parts I thought it ran a little dull. And if I look at it in perspective, I view Better Watch Out. And if you remember The Babysitter,
Oh yeah.
pretty similar
Yeah. It does have a
so
kind of
no
similar
satanic
vibe too.
book or anything like, but same kind of vibe. So if you like The Babysitter, you're gonna like Better Watch Out. But I really liked the gore of Home Alone amplified.
Yeah, the babysitter was a fun.
It was definitely amplified. They even referenced Home Alone when they
They-
hit the guy.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, we're going to test this and we're going to show what it would really look like if a paint can hit somebody upside the head.
Bingo, Katie. Thank you. Yeah, that was
I
my
love it.
favorite kill because when you look at the other kills in the movie, it actually doesn't have a super high body count in it.
No.
But what I really appreciated was the paint can and then kind of the end with the police. And it's like, holy shit, I'm going to get caught with this and I need to come up with a contingency plan.
Yes.
Number 5, rare exports out of Finland.
There it is.
So if you guys know me, I'm not into reading a movie.
I'd
So
rather
rare
read it than have
Exports
a bad dub.
is a Finnish movie, so you're reading it. But what I loved about this, and this is gonna go through the top 5 and stuff like that, is I have some foreign movies in here. But what I loved about, and I loved 80% of rare exports, just we came to the burial mound. Saint Nick is actually a demon. So if you know anything about Saint Nick or Santa Claus or any of that stuff, it is all kind of grim fairy tale. The
dark,
shit is
very
dark.
Oh yeah.
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 And in the case of rare exports, they dig up a Santa demon who is wreaking havoc all across
Santa
Finland. You gotta
demon.
contain it, right?
Sorry.
I knew you were
And I
going with
freaking
that.
love. However, when we got to the end where it's like helicopters and jet fighters and all these little demons, like
Yeah.
it lost it for
I
me.
have
But
to
the
say
first,
that too. Yeah, I have to.
yeah,
I agree. But yeah, the first part of it was a lot of fun.
first 80% loved rare exports.
Yeah.
Number 4, another foreign one, Sint, out of which is
Which Kim
Saint.
talked
The
about.
Saint,
Yes.
yes.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
which is the Dutch, and the Dutch do grim fairy tales oh so
Dutch
well.
are great with their movies.
So Saint/Sint from the Netherlands, amazing.
really
This
good.
It
is
really is.
a bonkers
And funny.
factor. Like
And
they
it's my
knew you
list
can't
too.
make this shit. So most people, okay, let's be real. We got Santa Claus from the Dutch. He was skating along the canals and all that stuff. We got Santa Claus from the Dutch.
Well,
Yeah.
And
Actually,
in this
yeah.
case, Sint, grim fairy tales, like, motherfucker ain't gonna play. He's sending his little munchkins and they're like chopping off heads. And it is gory, good fun. I would
It is
put
fun.
it on par with, if you remember, I can't remember the name of it, Peter Jackson, New Zealand Zombies.
Oh.
So brain, not brain
Yeah.
dead.
No, just
something
dead,
like that.
Dead.
Yeah.
Dead
With-
Dead
again?
Alive.
Dead alive. I was
With
like,
the
it's
zombies,
a DA.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so if you haven't seen Dead Alive, it's not a Christmas movie,
It's
but it's
fun.
from like
Really gross, but
1989.
it's
It's a good
fun.
time.
Yeah, it's good fun. Let me just tell you, lawnmower zombies.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Body
Um,
Lawnmower.
What's that?
Who doesn't love a lawnmower?
I know,
And,
especially against zombies. However, New Zealand also gave us the zombie sheep movie, which was amazing too.
It was so
Oh, Black
fun.
Sheep.
Black
That
Sheep.
Yeah.
was still
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
movie. Oh God. It was
Yeah,
so much
I gotta
fun.
tell you, now that I've seen Sint, I want to watch it every year at
Yeah.
Oh,
Christmas.
it's fun. It really
is.
is.
Fun. And so my list is really falling on the horror comedy action
Mhm.
aspect.
See, that's
So-
funny because I like a lot of, and I may have gone a little horror comedy heavy on mine, but supernatural horror around this time of year is something I really lean into.
Yeah.
Because I love, again, like we were talking at the beginning, I love ghost stories in the wintertime. I think
Yeah.
it's the perfect time.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because really, when you think about it, you're at the end of the year, you have
Mhm.
to repent on all the bad things you did to be clear of them in the new year,
I know.
which means you might have some nasty karma.
I
follow.
carry it with me.
Yeah.
Carry it with me to the new year.
So I'm going to throw this
Keep it
to
for always.
Wendy and Katie. And I would say more so Katie because you're from a different part of the country. But when it comes to this repentance of what you've experienced over the year, I mean, most of the folks up in our neck of the woods, which is like Midwest to West, does it have a separate connotation?
You're the first person I've ever heard say that. So it's obviously not a thing down here. More what personally, and this is just my thing, and I'm really weird. What I think about at the end of the year is sort of the death of the year,
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
and that kind of a death and rebirth cycle. I live
Yeah.
way out in the woods on 12 acres, and you
Oh.
see every day in nature the way everything dies and is reborn in another way. And that's what I think about a lot at the end of the year. And I never repent for anything. I'm never sorry.
Yeah,
Good,
no
good.
worries. Because so coming from, especially from the West Coast, when we think about the South, it's probably all all the stereotypical shit you've heard about, right?
Well, stereotypes always have an origin in truth.
Yes, that's true.
Good point.
Mhm.
Good point. But we just think about, do people perpetuate it, or really it's we're not as different as you think.
We're not as different as you think.
I agree.
There are horrible people everywhere, and there are horrible people here too.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah. And I would agree with that. There is less to divide us than we actually hear about.
And I always think about it's good to find the common ground with people because we need each other more than we think.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I'm giving a big thumbs up to that. All right, so we agree. So, America, if you're listening, we're not so different. Put that bullshit aside.
All around.
We all want the best for all of us.
We do.
Yeah. Which brings me to number 3. 2 movies. I have Black Christmas.
Of course.
So, with Black Christmas from 1974, to me, this is like this, because I don't remember 1974. But taking Black Christmas, to me, this is the meta that was Scream in 1996. There was a whole lot of political stuff, cultural stuff going on at that time period that Black Christmas represented. And so I appreciate 1974 because really, let's be honest, the whole plastic bag smothering with the girl in the chair looking out, that is amazing.
That visual just
that was
kills
something.
me.
And
but
that
then
she
you
is
have-
still sitting there at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
And the
thinking about,
phone.
Are
That
they ever
phone
going to
ringing.
find her?
Yeah, that is scary as fuck. Let's be real. And then you have the 2006, which is a straight up slasher flick.
Yeah.
But, certain parts of it I really thought stood out. And so I'm on the side of I really like a bloody snow angel. But also the ice skate scene to the head and stuff like that. That was cool. And then the creepiness of Billy crawling down between the walls.
Yes, that was pretty creepy. Yeah.
Billy.
As a yellow.
That is sweet. So even though 2006 doesn't get the props as 1974, and I'm going to lean on 1974 is the better movie, don't get me wrong, but 2006, that is a straight up good slasher flick.
I did enjoy it.
Totally. And I am looking forward to the 2019
I am
Fraternity
too now.
Warlocks
I can't wait to see that.
versus Sorority
I
Hunters.
hope they do a good job with it.
Yeah.
I hope they do a really
And
good
I
job.
sense a field trip in our future.
Yeah,
I think that would be
gonna do it, homie.
awesome. We might do that.
Yeah, let's do it. Pinky swear.
Pinky swear.
Pinky.
Pinky swear.
Ooh, where's my
Pinky
pinky? Oh, there you are.
Okay, pinky swear. We're doing it. Number 2, A Christmas Horror Story.
Yeah.
So, from an anthology, it's not as good as Trick or Treat.
No, but it's fun.
It is fun, and these are my favorite parts of it. So, I think Trick or Treat is the tighter movie, better on theme,
Right.
stuff like that. But if we just take it from the string that links everything together, zombie elves, Santa versus Krampus at the end, fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Less so the kids at the high school with the pregnant ghost.
Yeah, that was kind of stupid.
Man.
Yeah, I have to say that part.
Yeah,
was,
that was
Yeah.
why
Yeah,
did they
and
throw that in there? Yeah.
Yeah, and the other part is, the family with the stalled out car
that
with
too. I like
Krampus
that one.
haunting
I
them
thought
through
that
the
was-
woods or whatever. Meh.
They had to
I
come
really like
clean.
the Changeling storyline.
Me too.
Yeah.
That was my
I like the
favorite
Changeling
one.
storyline a lot.
Oh, wow.
And I liked
That
Zombie
was
Elves
really creepy.
and yeah. And so from a creep factor, I will say the Changeling storyline that was good, but really Krampus versus Santa.
Oh, the choreography of the fight scene is just
That
astounding. It was good.
mm,
It was Buffy-esque. You would have thought Josh
Yeah.
Whedon was in there.
Buffy.
Josh
Yes, I like
was
that.
in there
It's become a
directing
version.
it. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
totally want to watch that again
Buffy-esque.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to me, like a Christmas horror story is great, but number one. And here's the interesting thing, because I polled people. Most people don't think this movie is a Christmas movie, but it
Okay, I'm
is.
intrigued.
Kim, you're gonna be a meh. It's
Okay.
Gremlins.
I like that you've already predicted that.
Yeah.
Gremlin.
It's Gremlins.
Yeah.
To me, Gremlins is an amazing Christmas story, because remember,
I mean, it's definitely a Christmas movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it
But yeah,
is
I'm
a Christmas
on
movie.
the movie, but
That
I don't.
Christmas time.
Not to anyone who likes it. It just was never one that clicked with me.
Yeah.
Well,
and-
yeah, like I said, since I saw it, it's nostalgia for me. It's all nostalgia, and everything.
Yeah.
And I love the little creatures; they're so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Gizmo.
Yes.
Gizmo's
In their
Gizmo's not.
murderous ways. I
Yeah.
was talking about Stripe.
Yeah. So when we put it in perspective, though, we have the cute, cuddly Mogwai Gizmo who has his rules, and if you break the rules, you get all this horror that ensues. And please, let's be honest, we all fucking loved Spike. We love
And Gremlins.
Spike. And then when he goes into the swimming pool and creates the army because you fed him after midnight, but you didn't mean to feed. This is like when you get a new puppy, you know the rules and you break them all, and then you get something horrible. This is me and Mikey, my pit bull. This is Spike. And so for me, if I'm going to sit my 10-year-old down, which I do not have children.
It was like your 10-year-old dog.
Yeah, no.
10-year-old down, Jake.
But if I'm going to sit my 10-year-old down and say, there are repercussions for your actions, and we all have rules that we have to obey, it's Gremlins.
Mhm.
Now, mind you, Gremlins 2 is shit. But,
Although I have a question for you.
Yeah.
you. The
Fire.
whole not feeding after midnight thing. When does that end? And are we
and what
is it
time zone?
yeah, like is it
Exactly.
only in the time zone you're in? But like, what if it's Central Time or Eastern Time? And so
Because
you
this is
so
from China.
you do
how
it.
I view it. Oh,
You're
no,
the
I'm up
expert, so you know.
wine. No, I'm up wine. No. So this
We
is
are gonna
Daddy
have to
on
wrap
wine,
up.
not
We are
having
gonna have to wrap
wine
up
after
pretty soon.
9 Pacific.
We are going to wrap up pretty soon because I still have things to do. So we got
Yeah. We got to wrap
Okay.
soon. We got to wrap soon. So thank you for keeping on. But for
Question?
me, with
Uh,
the after midnight is pretty much
Mhm.
12 p.m. to sunrise.
Right, yeah.
Mhm.
Kind of like if you're going in for an operation.
Mhm. So
Yes,
Kim, you got your cat. We haven't seen your baby girl yet.
Oh, hold on a sec. I'll have to. Oh, come here, sweet pea. Oh, hold on a second. I may have
We
to.
got to see the baby because we're way after our time. Whatever. I don't give a fuck.
We've got plenty.
We're after the
Yeah,
time.
I
I'll
was
have
gonna
to.
say
have
we got
plenty.
plenty of time.
Yeah.
This has been a fun
I have to-
episode.
Hold on a second.
I have
Let me
to get
take
going.
You should have had it taken care of, June. Golly.
June, just wait. I
You know
mean,
that I just got back from my trip last night and I had to go to work
Yeah.
today. So come
and
on,
she
guys.
had an amazing trip.
Yes, I did.
Katie, thank
It
you
did
for
sound
staying with
amazing.
us for so
Oh,
long.
Yes.
You're welcome. I've had a blast. The only movie y'all didn't talk about is Spellbinder. And it's not really a horror movie, and it's not really a Christmas movie. It's Winter Solstice.
Oh,
It's
that's good.
got Kelly Preston in it and
yeah, I know.
Tim Daly.
Aw, hi, Miss
Mhm.
Tilly.
Oh, I know Tim Daly.
Hi,
He's
And
sweetie.
it's from the
Up,
late
up.
80s.
Hi, Tilly.
Kelly Preston, John Travolta's wife.
John Travolta's wife, yes, Mrs. John Travolta is in this movie, and she
Mhm.
plays a
Matilda.
woman on the run from a coven,
Oh, there's baby girl.
and they want to sacrifice her at the winter solstice. And the
Oh,
whole
okay.
movie, Tim Daly is trying to
good.
save her.
Ah.
I'm trying to hear.
Oh, you know what?
Aw, there
I
she
see
is.
I'm seeing the poster and I recognize it now. For
Okay.
Spellbinder. It was from
Aw.
'88.
She's
Yes,
so
I went to
cute.
see this at the movie theater.
She's so chill.
Oh,
Baby girl.
look at the kitty cat.
So yeah, we're like half an hour over, whatever.
Look at her. She walks in
that was
front
my
of the
cat's
camera.
butt
That's
that just walked in.
That's
funny.
perfectly fine. That's
She's a very
perfectly fine.
patient girl. She's
Yeah.
a very patient girl.
So to our listeners, thank you so very much for listening to this.
And I'm
Dismissively
so in the
Cafe.
mood now to watch all of these. It's
I
like
know,
one of
I
these things.
I
I'm like,
just have watching horror right now.
Yeah.
Now,
And
you guys,
let's
wait.
give some shout outs
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
to our guest, Kim Douthit,
Yeah.
who
Thank
is our horror
Yeah.
maven. Also on Ghoulish Tendencies. If you want to do a tour at Spooked in Seattle, she does true crime. She'll take you around to all the amazing
amazing.
haunted spots in Pioneer Square as well. Book her, call up Spooked in Seattle, say Mark, say let me speak to Mark.
Seattle 5
Mark,
times, Jake.
what's that?
Say Seattle 5 times.
Oh, I will, because I live here too. So Seattle, Pioneer Square, which is the original neighborhood, and say, yo, Mark, I want my true crime, I want my pub tour, I want my haunted historic tour with Kim Douthit. And he'd be like, okay, holla at ya.
Holla at me.
Yeah, let me holla at ya. I'll
Yeah,
book you
and-
some Douthit.
Spooked in Seattle and at Urban Electives teaching classes.
Yes.
City of Geek for movie stuff and Ghoulish Tendencies for everything else.
Yes.
Awesome.
True crime and haunted history. I might do a little something with the website. I'm just saying.
Gabby says hi. She was listening and she said hi.
Oh,
Hi,
Aces,
Gabby.
love
Hi,
you,
Bob.
Gabby. I know you got the in-laws here, so shout out to the in-laws as well. To our extra special guest, Catie Rhodes, who writes the Peri Jean Mace ghost thrillers, 11
I'm
books.
excited to
Thank you
read
so
those
much
and
for
listen to
having
them.
me.
I'm
No,
excited.
it was wonderful to have you. Remember, guys, everyone go out to Amazon. You can get the Kindle books, $2.99 to $3.99, 11 books, all amazing. You do not get 4.7 stars out of 5 on Amazon for 11 books unless
is
that
awesome.
shit is real good.
Yes, I
Okay.
agree.
So download that and read them. They're amazing. I already spieled my 2 favorites. But get in there. Thank you, Catie.
I've
And
actually
thank
read
you
them
again for
all,
having me. I've had a
mhm,
blast.
mhm.
Thank you for
Well
being
worth
on
the
the show.
read.
Oh,
And-
awesome.
Yeah, so Catie, do you have a new book coming out soon? Because if you do, pitch it here, and because we're going to have you back for that.
I will let you know when I do, and thank you again. That'll be great. I'm looking forward to it. This has
For
been a
sure.
fun night.
And I will be all read up by then.
Yes. Yes. We'll have the complete backlog, and we'll quiz you in depth like your J.K. Rowling. So Wendy, any parting words?
Nope, I'm done with you.
June, any parting words?
Well, just thanks everyone for sticking in with us. We got some great movies here, and I get you in the holiday mood, the holiday horror mood, my favorite. And also, if you're interested, check out our website for A Ghost, the Advanced Ghost Hunters of Seattle Tacoma, aghost.org, and come and join us in the new year that's coming up before we know it. Holy crap.
Oh, it is coming up.
Yes.
So thank you, everyone.
All right. So thank you for everyone for tuning in. I hope we fed you more than enough holiday horror than you need. And I'm going to sign off with a little bit of Disturbed and the song
I love
The
Disturbed.
Light.
Woo-woo.
Love it.
All right.
Good
Have a
one.
good night, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Got to go to the store.
Bye.
Bye.
as you walked away. When you think of this forsaken, listen to me now. You need never feel broken again. Sometimes darkness can show you the light. In unforgivable tragedy, the answer isn't where you think you'd find it. Prepare yourself for a reckoning, for when your world seems to crumble again. Don't be afraid, don't turn away. You're the one who can redefine it. Don't let hope become a memory. Let the shadow permeate your mind and reveal the thoughts that were tucked away, so that the door can be opened again. Within your darkest memories lies the answer if you dare to find it. Don't let hope become a memory. When you think of this forsaken, listen to me now. You need never feel broken again. Sometimes darkness can show you the light. Sick on ding, weak on ding. Don't let another somber pariah consume your soul. You need strengthening, toughening. It takes a minute off to rekindle the fire burning in the air. Ignite the fire within you. When you think of this forsaken, listen to me now. You need never feel broken again. Sometimes darkness can show you the light. Don't ignore, listen to me now. You need never feel broken again. Sometimes darkness can show you